Dad. One of the first words we ever say, a simple but enduring word. And if you live in the Mohawk Valley of upstate New York, on Saturday nights, dads take families to Fonda Speedway. The Track of Champions has been part of this family tradition 44 years. Maybe it's the lucky numbers. Maybe it's the rides in your heroes' cars. Surely it's the champions who race there. The King, Richard Petty, and his ever-present nemesis, David Pearson, won here in the 60s. If Pete Corey and Bill Wimble won at Fonda, they could win anywhere, and did. Watching a hero on the track, sitting next to one in the stands. It's Thunder 5, and it's next on Sports Channel.
Dirt tracking, born in the cornfields and lower 40s of rural America. Dirt tracking, the cornerstone of racing. The early barnstormers put it all on the line to satisfy their thirst for speed. Now, their great-grandchildren carry the torch with the same spirit and thirst. 700 horsepower rips the earth. For 1 hour, nothing else matters. It'll raise the hair on the back of your neck. Rush Hour on Dirt.
We are live at Montgomery County Fairgrounds in the Track of Champions, Fonda Speedway in Fultonville, New York, for Thunder 5. Welcome to Rush Hour on Dirt. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Logan. This is the first of 10 consecutive Thursday night live dirt modified races on Sports Channel. Joining me is the voice of Dirt Motorsports, Gary Montgomery. And Gary, tell our viewers what Dirt Motorsports is all about.
Dirt Motorsports is a stock car race sanctioning organization headquartered in Weedsport, New York, founded by Glenn Donnelly back in 1976. They sanction weekly races at 25 different racetracks in 4 states and 2 Canadian provinces. In addition to the weekly programs, there's this midweek series, the Skull Racing Series, of which tonight's race is a part. It's all topped off by the $1 million weekend in October called Super Dirt Week in Syracuse.
About the drivers we'll see competing tonight.
56 drivers have come here tonight to qualify for the program. They've come from all walks of life. Some of them left their day jobs to come here. Others are professional racers that'll run 100 races this summer. All of them in pursuit of glory and money. Speaking of money, the winners share tonight $15,000.
And the Skull Series has a very unique way of establishing its starting lineup.
Unique and complicated. The drivers all drew for starting positions when they came through for qualifying heats. They ran those races. The top 3 finishers qualified. The remainder of the field has come from qualifying races, provisional spots, guaranteed spots. But the top 18, they had to redraw. So it is possible that the fastest guy could start back in position number 18.
Now, our pit reporter is Cowboy Paul Small, and he has, shall we say, the good, bad, and the ugly of tonight's draw.
There's nothing more American than modified racing, and in the true American spirit of democracy, a draw is used to determine the starting positions. And Kenny Tremont, you got the best of this draw. You're starting on the pole tonight.
That's for sure. Hopefully it'll be an advantage for us. We won't have to pass a lot of cars, and if the car's going well, we can set our own pace and get the job done.
Now, when you live by the draw, you may also potentially die by the draw. Brett Hearn, you drew the worst possible number available tonight, 18. How much of a disadvantage is that?
Well, we worked real hard just to get the draw, and we thought we were all set, but then we came out and drew 18th. So, we've got our work cut out for us. I think right now we've just got to race the track and try to get the car as good as we can for the feature and get the right setup. And if we got the right setup, we've got enough time to get to the front.
I tell you, Kenny Tremont's pretty quick, but I keep my eyes on this guy. He's not going to be in an 18th spot for very long. Doug?
All right, Gary and I are ready. Hope you're ready for some wild side-by-side dirt track modified racing. It's Rush Hour on Dirt, live on Sports Channel. Rush Hour on Dirt is brought to you in part by CarQuest Auto Parts Stores, Racing Electronics Race Team Communications, Bob Hilbert Sportswear, Hoosier Racing Tires, Sunoco Race Fuels, and by Chevrolet, the cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. It's genuine Chevrolet. At Fonda Speedway for Rush Hour on Dirt, and it's time for racing's magic words. Here's Budweiser's Margaret Bartizel.
Starting words.
Gentlemen, this Bud's for you. Start your engine!
Doug, these are 800 horsepower stock cars, especially built for this. They weigh 2,550 pounds. Again, they're built especially for short track dirt stock car racing. They'll produce speeds of about 100 miles an hour. That's the top speed. The average lap speed will be in the neighborhood of 90 miles an hour.
Our race analysis. Fonda Speedway is a half-mile clay oval. This will be a 75-lap event. Caution laps count until the final 3. 31 cars will start. $15,000 to win. The total purse, $45,600. And as the cars move into starting position now on the race course, let's take a look at the starting lineup. Row 1 by draw on the pole, the 115 of Kenny Tremont, and outside Kenny, it's Tony Pepicelli.
The second row starters include second-generation driver A.J. Romano and Syracuse race winner Jimmy Horton out of New Jersey.
Billy Pouch is competitive and a winner in every form of racing. He'll be inside row 3, followed by Tim Fuller, number 19.
Back in row 4 on the inside, starting position number 7 goes to the daring one, Danny Johnson from Phelps, New York, alongside his Pennsylvania driver, Kenny Brightbill.
Row 5, Ron Proctor and Chris Moore.
Frank Cozy sits inside of row number 6 with the Thumb Racing car number 12T. Alongside is the 1986 driver that's won 86 times here. That's Dave Late from Canajoharie.
Row 7 looks this way. The 13 of Frank Horde Sr. and outside the 15 of Randy Snyder.
Starting in position number 15 is a Saturday night regular here at this racetrack, New York. Amsterdam, New York driver Maynard Brett. Alongside is a Pennsylvania driver, Doug Hoffman. He's the 1991 Mr. Dirt champion.
Row 9 consists of the 21J of Jeff Trombley with 2 feature wins here at Fonda already this season. And outside row 9 with an unlucky draw, Brett Hearn, number 3.
Starting back in position number 19, this is row number 20 now. 4-time school champion and the winningest driver in the history of this racetrack, Jack Johnson. Alongside is David Camara, young driver out of Poultney, Vermont.
Row 11, Billy Decker and Jimmy Chester.
Back row position number 23 is Timmy Dwyer, a second-year modified driver, and alongside is Bobby Varon.
Row 13, A.J. Slideways, the winningest driver in dirt motorsports history, the 14J, Alan Johnson. Then it's Steve the Hurricane Payne.
Starting back in position number 27 is Pat Ward. Alongside is 3-time school champion, defending race winner here, Bob McCready in the Kinney Drug Store's car number 9.
Row 15 looks this way. Bob McCready and John Proctor.
And in the back of the pack all by himself will be Jeff Hetzler and Mike Cervino.
Our in-car camera, sponsored by CarQuest, is mounted over the left shoulder of Frank Cozy in the number 12T, and we're looking forward to some very exciting shots from the CarQuest in-car camera. And we have 1 lap to go, and we will be set for racing as the field now heads into turn 2. This is a very, very interesting track from a personality standpoint.
It certainly is. It's egg-shaped. Turns 1 and 2 are rather tight. Then they go down the back straightaway along the Erie Canal, we might add. We've had drivers go over there. Then there's big, wide, sweeping turns 3 and 4. It's about a quarter of a mile around those corners alone. Then they come screaming back down the home straightaway.
Pole sitter Kenny Tremont outside row 1, the 11A of Tony Pepicelli into turn 3. Short shoot between 3 and 4. All eyes in the front stretch on starter Terry Pulsion as the field now starts to accelerate out of turn 4. Down the front straightaway, the green flag is out, and Thunder 5 is underway with Kenny Tremont diving low into turn 1, has the lead over Tony Pepicelli, and Horton tries the outside in position number 3 down the backstretch.
A side-by-side battle for position number 4. A.J. Romano on the outside in the red car. Billy Pouch works the bottom in the black car number M1, but they're all chasing Kenny Tremont as they come down to complete lap 1 of Thunder 5.
Kenny Tremont leads after 1 lap, and of course he is looking for his first ever career win here at Fonda, and he's looking very strong in the early going. Pepicelli's in second.
Here's that side-by-side battle back for position number 1. Just changed players. We had Romano going alongside of Horton. Now Horton makes the pass of Billy Pouch.
We have a car slowed in the back straightaway. We'll pick it up for you as the field heads into turn 1 and now into turn 2. Continues to be Tremont number 1, Tony Pepicelli in 2nd, and Jimmy Horton in 3rd.
Horton very, very impressive here. He's riding right now. He goes around the outside and tries to go around the outside of Pepicelli. It won't work as they work to 3 and 4. Here's the shot from the thumb car. Frank Cozy works it out at turn number 4.
Brett Hearn had that unlucky draw starting in the 18th position. He's trying to put the moves on Chris Moore. He got around him. And we have a spin in turn 1. And the caution flag will come out. It is out on the racetrack as we have a car up against the wall in turn 1. That's Randy Snyder in the number 15.
Snyder, a regular here at the Fonda Speedway, backs it into the wall. Doesn't look to be extensively damaged. In fact, he's pulling it away now, so it would appear that he'll be able to fall in at the rear. Now, we should add here, Doug, that caution laps will count. This is a 75-lap race, but all laps will count, even if it's caution, regardless caution or green. But there you can see the damage to the back of Snyder's car. But again, I think that's primarily cosmetic, and he'll be able to continue. All laps count with the exception of the final 3. They will be under green. So we'll complete lap number 5 here under yellow.
And we see that Randy Snyder is back underway. There's a shot at the front of the pack. We had 6 heat races tonight. The winners, Kenny Brightbill, Jim Horton, Kenny Tremont, Doug Hoffman, Chris Moore, and A.J. Romano. The consolation winners, 2 consolation races tonight, Jack Johnson and Dave Camara. Alan Johnson is going into the pits.
Well, that's a tough break for A.J. Slideways. Alan Johnson, as he takes the Bill Trout Honeywell Auto Parts 14J Bicknell car to the pit area. We continue to operate under yellow.
Well, there's a look at Alan right there. Alan Johnson low on the race course as he is set to head into the pits.
Alan has a new team for 1996, and things have been going very, very well for them so far, but it doesn't look to be the case right now. Alan started his racing career when he was just 16 years old. He got in a stock car, which he had to shift, of course. He'd never driven a standard transmission car before in his life until he got in a race car. He's been racing ever since, and he's the winningest driver in the history of motorsports modified competition. He's won over 200 times.
So there's Alan Johnson in the pits. Randy Snyder also in the pits. Now he's headed back out and back onto the race course. Doug Hoffman started 16th. He's up to 10th. And how about charting Brett Hearn's action?
No doubt about it. He started back in position number 18, but Brett the Jet is up to position number 12, and he's a man to keep your eyes on. Brett Hearn, a very, very professional. We talked about some professionals. He's one of them. So we'll keep our eyes on Hearn and Hoffman as they make their way from the back.
6 laps out of 75 in the books here at Fonda.
There you have a shot of the Cozy car, the 12T. Alan has a right front tire change, right rear tire change. So that was the problem for Alan. They're trying to do that. Stu Shepard is his crew chief. They're trying to make that repair. Again, they're losing laps as these caution laps will count. They're rushing that car back to the speedway now.
The
green
cars
flag
accelerate out of turn 4, and it's Tremont and Horton is outside of Kenny Tremont. He goes into turn number 1 with the lead.
A tremendous burst of power from the outside as Jimmy Horton blasted. That's usually not the fast way around, but he went by Tremont like he was standing still. He instantly opens up a 3-car length advantage, but behind them you can see the very, very tight competition as they thread their way in turns 3 and 4.
And notice how these cars, these dirt modified cars, just slide through the turns.
Yeah, they want to roll them over and get some bite on that right rear tire, and that's the way their chassis are set up. They've got a whole lot of things that are variable here, and they work the chassis all night long. There we see Hearn in the red and white Budweiser car number 3 making a move as he goes by Brightbill in the black number 19.
Doug Hoffman right behind Brightbill. Danny Johnson the number 6. Horton is the record holder for most consecutive ARCA stock car super speedway wins as we see Brett Hearn once again making a move.
Hearn trying to run down Danny Johnson. That's a car that Hearn used to drive, the Freightliner car, but Danny Johnson is now the hired gun, and he's wheeled it. He makes the pass as they work out at turn number 4 and come down the line.
Brett Hearn is up to 8th place, and he's knocking on Danny Johnson's back bumper right now. Trying to move into 7th.
A.J. Romano is the driver just ahead, the red number 4. We can see him in the screen momentarily, but here's the Brightbill in the black car number 19. He's a veteran driver. He's about 50 years old. He works on Hearn. They make a little contact as they work into turn number 3, but get away with it.
As we take a look at Brett Hearn's progress through the pack, the leader continues to be Jimmy Horton. 2nd is Kenny Tremont. There's Doug Hoffman going low on Brett Hearn.
Hoffman has made the pass of Brightville. Now he's working the inside of Hearn. Here we see some traffic as Payne works the outside of Bobby Varon. They're trying to run down Chris Moore in the 0 car, the Pepsi car. Here we come back to positions 5, 6, and 7. That's Danny Johnson running at 5 with Hearn at 6. And Hoffman back in the number 7 spot with the red and yellow Phil's Chevrolet, car number 1.
Brett Hearn driving the number 3 Budweiser car out of Sussex, New Jersey. Sponsors Budweiser and Auto Palace. He's a 2-time Mr. Dirt and 6-time Skoal Racing Super Dirt Series champion. Back up to the front, Billy Pouch looking strong.
Billy rides in position number 3, trying to run down the top pair as they work out of turn 2. There's our leader, Jimmy Horton. We talked about him leading the leading ART driver, but he's also got a record for going out of the ballpark at Talladega, the highest distance of any driver to have ever left that racetrack. So he's got a lot of credits in his book.
An absolutely incredible accident at Talladega, but look at this margin, the lead Horton has on Tremont.
That is incredible for the early going here. And Tremont, of course, started on the pole, but Horton made that pass when we knew that he had lots of horsepower when he was able to make the pass on the outside. He'd stretched it out to nearly a half a straightaway as they come down to complete lap number 21.
There is Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, 30-year veteran on the dirt circuit out of Waynesburg, New York, 6-time Mr. Dirt, 4-time Skoal Series champion. He also had a couple seconds in the books as you see the action in turn 1.
There is action all the way around the racetrack, Doug. This is really good racing. Here comes Jeff Tromley in the red, black, and white number 21J. He's a Fonda regular trying to pick up a spot. Here and there we can see side-by-side racing. Danny Johnson on the outside of Doug Hoffman. Hoffman works the bottom, and they're both Troyer cars, both Hunter powered. So this is a battle of drivers right here. Continue to work in the bottom, and this looks like the pass right there. Doug Hoffman out of West Colesville, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Allentown. He runs against Danny Johnson, who resides in Phelps, New York.
Hoffman currently in this Skoal Series, 2nd in points to Hearn and 3rd in the money list behind Hearn and Bob McCready. Finished 2nd at Brewerton to McCready, and 3rd at Cornwall behind Hearn and Billy Decker.
They continue to mix it up, and here comes Tromley working the inside of Brightville. Now we go back towards the front, and we got the A.J. Romano car on the outside of Brett Hearn. Romano in the red number 4, the Skip Seymour owned Troyer car, goes against the Teo car of Hearn. That's the red and white number 3.
And this battle on the race course is for 5th place. Now remember, we're now 18 laps into this race, now 19 laps into the race. Brett Hearn started 18th. He's battling for 5th.
Incredible show of driving skill, equipment, the whole 9 yards. This guy, as we said earlier, is a professional. He gets the job done. He's running against one of these weekend warriors. A real young guy here is A.J. Romano. His dad, his brother, all racers, but the kid is doing it right now as he leads Hearn.
They refer to Brett Hearn as the corporate jet, and he is rocketing his way around the track right now. He's 5th all-time in the career dirt modified feature win list with 191. There's your leader, Horton, and he has a sizable lead.
He's stretched it out to nearly a full straightaway now. That's another of the Teo chassis cars. Jimmy Horton runs out of Folsom, New Jersey. The car is owned by Dan Masden. Just overhead doors. He's a Syracuse winner. He's run and won on super speedways, and he's won on dirt, both big and small tracks. A very, very professional driver. Then we go back to the 2nd place car, the man who started on the pole, Kenny Tremont out of West Sand Lake, New York. Again, that's another Troyer car, and he's a 2nd generation driver. His dad is now his crew chief. They call his dad Abe because he looks a lot like Abe Lincoln.
Well, it's been quite a clean race to this point. As we near the 1/3 mark complete, there's Bob McCready, 2-time defending Skoal Series champion, 2-time defending Mr. Dirt out of Watertown, New York, in the number 9, and he's challenging one of the all-time greats in Dave Lape.
That's right, Dave Lape, the 2nd winningest driver in the history of this speedway. In fact, he won a feature race here just last Saturday evening, his first at this track this year. Now, McCready started near the back, as we mentioned earlier. He started dead last at Brewerton in the first of these Skoal races a couple of weeks ago. He came on to win that one. So McCready, we call him the master of going faster, and there's a good reason for it. He is extremely fast. Here we've got a car in trouble. That's Steve Payne, the Hurricane. Such a promising young driver. He has made contact with the wall. The front end of that car is messed up, and I'm afraid that her race night is over early. Extensive damage, and maybe it was a flat tire because the tire came off the rim.
Steve Payne with a flat right front, and he went hard into the wall in the front straightaway. We are at Fonda Speedway, Fultonville, New York, and this is Thunder 5. We'll be back with more of the Budweiser Thunder 5 from Fonda. We're back with Rush Hour on Dirt, the Budweiser Thunder 5 at Fonda Speedway in Fultonville, New York. We are 27 laps into our 75-lap dirt modified Skull Racing Super Dirt Series event. The green flag is back out at Fonda, and we're racing. Jimmy Horton has the lead. Second place, Kenny Tremont. Billy Pouch low in turn 1, trying to get Tremont.
He can't quite make the pass. Tony Pepicelli runs in position number 4. Then it's A.J. Romano in 5. Brett Hearn is in 6. Danny Johnson runs 7. Doug Hoffman in 8. Kenny Brightbill is 9. And Billy Decker rounds out the top 10.
And we have an eye on the corporate jet. Brett Hearn, the number 3 car, trying to get around Danny Johnson. The Phil Chevrolet of Doug Hoffman, number 1, right behind Brett Hearn.
Here's a side-by-side battle. These are 3 great cars. Here comes Decker. He's just made another pass. So Decker is on fire as he moves the yellow number 91, the Adam Ross cut stone car, towards the head of the pack.
Danny Johnson and Brett Hearn. Hearn has him back as they head into turn number 1.
This is a fierce battle, Doug. They've been going at it for a number of laps, both before and after the caution. This is for position number 5. It appears that Hearn has made the pass now using the outside lane. It's a longer way around out there, but he has now made the pass. So he started at 18. He's up to 5 as we complete lap number 30.
Is there a preferred spot on this track to get by the car in front of you?
Well, it's really hard to tell. They've been passing both top and bottom, and it looks to me like maybe they're going to have to go to the top to pass. It's a little more conservative down on the bottom, but they're making a lot of passes on the outside. But of course, it's a horsepower deal when you're up on the top.
We could point out that the caution flag could have helped Jimmy Horton because he was in traffic. He had lap cars all around him. Now he has a wide open racetrack.
Yeah, that clean racetrack is a very, very important factor here. This is a little bit tight at this racetrack, and there's not a lot of passing room. Here we see now Doug Hoffman going to the outside of Danny Johnson, and here comes Decker on the inside. Great race back for positions 6 and 7.
Back to the front of the pack. Now Brett Hearn, and we have Doug Hoffman up against the wall.
And Decker makes contact. Decker slides to the bottom of the racetrack, and we have yellow on the speedway. Tough break as Hoffman has made contact with Decker, and Bob McCready is against the wall in turn number 1. McCready against the wall in turn 1. It looks like heavy damage there, Doug.
Decker gets his car going. McCready is stopped in turn 1, outside wall.
It looks to me, certainly the front end of the car is damaged. That's obvious to all of us from the screen. It looks like the rear end might be bent as well. Now, there was a problem with McCready earlier. He didn't qualify. He had to go to a guaranteed starting spot. He was running in position number 15, and now he's made contact. It looked to me like the rear end of the car was bent as well, Doug. So it looks to be a terminal problem there, both front and rear damage.
Meanwhile, Billy Decker may have just sustained some body damage, and he is testing the car right now. He's moving. Let's take a look at the replay of this event as we take one more look at Bob McCready stopped in turn 1. Here's Hoffman on the outside of Danny Johnson, and they touch. Hoffman comes up, scrapes the wall, then down into Decker.
Decker simply had no place to go. He goes sliding harmlessly into the infield. Now we'll see if we can pick up McCready.
Now we'll take another look of this incident. This is out of turn 4. There's the hard hit with the wall. You wonder if there's damage to Hoffman's car.
These cars are pretty tough, and they can bounce them off the wall, but we'll find out once the green flag flies. Again, that was a great race. They were battling for position number 6 and 7 with Danny Johnson involved in that altercation. Here we see McCready's, Kinney Drugstores, FX Cabrera, Syracuse Frame Service Troyer car on the hook, and he's the defending Skull Series champion, defending Mr. Dirt champion. He's he's won 9 races so far this year, but it doesn't look like he's going to win his 10th here tonight.
Yeah, 240 for his career. This Skull Series, he's 6th in points, 2nd in money earning. He won the initial Skull Series race of the year at Brewerton, then finished 23rd in the 2nd race at Cornwall, and now he is on the hook.
He's on the hook, and the car is badly damaged, and he's losing laps, and I would say that this is probably the night for the Barefoot Wonder out of Watertown.
Again, the caution laps are counting as they continue to circle the speedway. I believe they were given the 1 to go sign, so we should see green next time around.
36 laps in, and you can see a little moisture falling from the skies, and we of course will keep you abreast of that. It makes the track very, very slippery, and ultimately you can't run in the rain. And the green flag is back out once again from Terry Polson, and your leader comes by the front straightaway. It's Jimmy Horton.
And Hearn has just picked up another spot as he moves around A.J. Romano. So Hearn has now taken over position number 4. Jimmy Horton is the fastest guy when the track is dry. We're going to see how it works when the track greases up a little bit here. Now, I say fastest guy. That's probably not true. He's leading, but the fastest guy is obviously Hearn. He's come from 18 to 4.
So you have Horton, then Tremont, then Pouch, then Brett Hearn, and then the number 6 dipping down low of Danny Johnson. Does he have Hearn in turn number 2? He can't quite get him on the back straightaway as we are at the halfway point of this 75-lap Skoal Series race.
They are close side by side. We talked about that in the open, Doug. What we didn't talk about, again, you mix all this stuff up, their average speed about 90 miles an hour, and you can see how close they're doing it, closer than they parked their cars in the parking lot when they got here tonight. Danny Johnson works the bottom. Hearn is up on top in a great battle for position number 4. Here comes Jeff Trombley. He'll slide into position number 6. A great move for the young driver. He won a couple of races here earlier this summer, Doug. He won them both on the same night. They had a rained out show. He won that one. They came back and won their regular event as well. So Trombley moves to the bottom of the racetrack, and he picks up a couple of spots with the number 21J. Here we see Decker, who was involved in that altercation earlier. He's working his way from the back of the pack. He's caught Timmy Dwyer in the white car number 1A, and Frank Cozy works the outside. Here we see a shot from Cozy's CarQuest in-car camera.
That is as he maneuvers on the race course down the front stretch into turn 1 and into turn 2. Cozy currently 18th.
So the young driver out of Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, trying to pick up some spots. As we continue to watch, you can watch him working the wheel, and you can see how narrow this racetrack is in various spots. And there's this big sweeping turn that he's entering now. Then he comes down this narrow front straightaway. Again, this is about 90 miles an hour. He's going to the outside of Dwyer, tries to make the pass.
90 miles an hour and a half-mile clay oval with that rear end just breaking loose as you just scream into the turns.
Every which way but straight, we often say, and that's the way they're working it here. Here's Cozy and Dwyer. They continue their battle, and Decker from the back of the pack after the spin.
We have a new third-place runner. It's Brett Hearn. He's past Pouch as they head into turn number 4, and down the front straightaway it's Horton, then it's Tremont, and then it is Brett Hearn.
What a display that Hearn is putting on here tonight. From the 18th to 3 in under 40 laps. He is really on fire. He's got a rocket ship built by his brother. They call it a Teo chassis. His brother Bobby Hearn has constructed that car. They've got them for sale for others as well, but this one always seems to work a little bit better. Here we see an action shot with A.J. Romano working on Danny Johnson. Romano in the red car number 4. Danny Johnson in the white with red car number 6. They continue to battle it out. And there's Bobby Varon. He works the bottom of the racetrack in the red car number 18.
Trombley still has the advantage over Doug Hoffman.
Hoffman showing the effects of that altercation earlier, but it obviously hasn't slowed him down. We were worried about him bouncing off the wall. Well, that's certainly not a problem. Here now is Trombley working on Billy Pouch. This is for position number 4. Pouch runs in 4. Trombley is in 5. Back in a very close 6 as you see Hoffman in the red car number 1. Here's Trombley on the inside now. He's out of Schenectady, New York. He owns his own car. It's a Troyer car. Ron Hunter builds the motor for him. He works on the inside of Billy Pouch as they come to the line.
Is it possible that Pouch's tires are going away this early in the race?
It's possible, but if that's the case, it's going to be a long, long night for him as we're not up to the halfway point. I think possibly he's just got the wrong setup. He's working the outside, and Trombley's working the bottom. That's a shorter way around.
Coming up on the completion of lap 48 out of 75. And we saw Trombley there for a second. He slowed in the front straightaway.
What a tough break. Just talking about what a great job he was doing. He's got the car hung up on the mud now. And
he was 4th.
He was having a great run. Nice young fella, handsome guy. And as we mentioned earlier, he's won a couple of races here this summer already, but he won't win tonight after a great, great run.
So the pace car comes back out on the Fonda Speedway course as the drizzle continues to come down. Horton, then Tremont, then Brett Hearn, then Billy Pouch, then Doug Hoffman. The top 5 competitors in our Thunder 5. We'll be back with more of the Budweiser Thunder 5 from Fonda Speedway, live on Sports Channel.
Rush Hour. Rush Hour on Dirt.
Back at Fonda Speedway and a Chevrolet Camaro pace car from the Central New York Chevy dealers continues to guide this pack of race cars around the track. We have a caution period, 52 laps in out of 75.
They're going to go green next time around, Doug. We'll set the field for you, the top 10 at least. Jimmy Horton is the race leader. Kenny Tremont, who started on the pole, runs in position number 2. Running third is Brett Hearn in car 3, starting 18. Back at 4 is the M1 of Billy Pouch. Doug Hoffman is 5. Dave Camara is 6. Bobby Barron is 7. Danny Johnson is 8. A.J. Romano is 9. And Timmy Fuller rounds out the top 10.
A look at the CarQuest in-car camera. Frank Cozy as we're under green at Fonda.
No change on this one either, Doug, as Horton again shows all kinds of horsepower as he pulls away from Kenny Tremont. But the guy he's got to worry about is Hearn. Hearn works the outside as they come down to the line.
Here's someone else we're getting a good look at is Bobby Barron in the number 18. Remember how he shocked everyone in the Skoal Series with the big win here last year. He's made a very big move.
He started back at 24 and he currently runs in 7. This is a low buck operation. That's a great job for this young driver. He's a feature winner here earlier this summer. Here we see Barron working the inside of Hoffman. Barron in the white car down on the bottom. Hoffman in the red car up on top, and they're trying to run down the black number M1 of Billy Pouch.
A battle for second place, Brett Hearn and Kenny Tremont.
Hearn has done most of his passing on the outside, but he's found an inside lane right. Well, he had an inside lane trying to move around Tremont. It didn't work. He'll now go back to the top as Kenny will fill the bottom of the racetrack. But while they're working side by side, David Camara is closing in car number 26.
Camara, a Skoal rookie, putting on a very, very strong move. Again, Brett Hearn tries to dip down low. Barron's up to 5th.
Barron is very, very impressive here. And again, this is a low-dollar operation by the counts of the guys he's moving by. Here's that great battle for second and third. Second is Tremont in the 115. Hearn runs 3 in the number 3. And then it's Camara in the red number 26. That's, again, for positions 2, 3, and 4. You can see the race leader, Jimmy Horton, about 5 car lengths in front of this great side-by-side battle.
We'll keep an eye on this one. Kenny Tremont in second. Brett Hearn third. And there's Camara dipping down low on Brett Hearn. Does he have him? No. Hearn has a little more bite coming out of turn number 4.
The crowd has gone wild as he's found an inside lane. He's moved by Hearn, at least for the moment. He's got the inside route on Tremont as well. David Camara out of Poultney, Vermont, a local favorite here. He has taken over position number 3. He's now going for 2. Oh my goodness, 3 wide out of turn 4.
Camara has the second position.
He won a feature here just 2 weeks ago, and he obviously has the combination, the home track advantage, you could say. This is unheard of, Doug. The unheralded young driver out of Poultney, Vermont has just passed the best in dirt motorsports. He's now trying to reel in our race leader. You saw him do a little wheel stand there as he caught the mud on the inside of turn 3.
He's got 15 laps. 15 laps in which to try to reel in Jimmy Horton now as Horton is into turn number 2. There's Brett Hearn in the battle now for third place with Kenny Tremont.
Well, Horton hasn't had anybody to contend with, but the distance you can see it is about maybe 10 car lengths, and Camara is closing in. He is catching the race leader. This is incredible. We were always looking for the underdog. Well, we got an underdog right here as Camara tries to run down the race leader.
Veteran Jimmy Horton first. Then it's Camara, 27 years of age, first full-time Skoal traveler in 1996, and he's trying to heap some hurt on Horton. Meanwhile, further back in the pack, there's the battle for third, fourth, and fifth.
And Bobby Barron has passed Brett Hearn. This is another unheard of deal here. Now he's going after Tremont. So the local boys, the home track advantage, may be showing up here as Bobby Barron runs here. He's trying to run down the third third-place runner, Kenny Tremont. Bobby Varon, the white car with the red trim on it. And, well, they're both red and white, but 115 is Tremont, 18 is Varon.
But we talked about how this is grassroots racing. Bobby Varon has an engine in the car that he bought last week. He said he had to bounce checks to get it. It's a low-dollar team, a local team, trying to make a lot of noise here tonight.
Camara has to stay smooth. He can't afford to catch the inside like he did just a couple laps ago, and that'll upset the rhythm. So he's got to run down on the bottom, but keep it off of that cushion to the berm that's built up down there. There you see Varon. He's up against that inside berm as he tries to run down Hearn and Tremont. There they are,
for third, fourth, and fifth on the racetrack. And again, Hearn goes out high. On the front straightaway, Jimmy Horton leads. Then it's Camara in second place, and we have 10 laps to go.
10 laps to go, and they're catching the back markers, and you just saw the lap car there. Now, this will be an advantage, I suspect, for Horton. He's got a whole lot more experience than Camara, so they get in traffic. It could be Horton's experience, or will it be the home track advantage for Camara? Well, we're going to settle it here in just a few laps, Doug.
Now, Horton streaked out to a big advantage early in the race, then following a yellow caution period, he has seemed to be driving a very, very smooth and conservative race in front of this pack.
He certainly is, and his car is not running on the extreme bottom of the racetrack, and Camara's is, and that could be the difference. They've got about a 4 or 5 car length separation for that battle for position number 1.
On camera, we continue to watch the battle for third, fourth, and fifth. Tremont, the 115, Brett Hearn low, and the number 3.
Again, this is the battle for position 3, and Hearn has to back out and go to the top side. It won't work. Here comes Varon to the inside of Hearn. So Hearn doesn't know whether to go after the position or to protect his spot. He's in a real tight spot right now, and he's just lost a spot to Bobby Varon. So Varon comes to 4, booting Hearn back to 5.
And we have a battle for the lead in the backstretch. Horton is the leader. Camara is second, closing to within 1 car length. 7 laps to go.
Outstanding run. Camara working the extreme bottom of the racetrack now. Horton is trying to close that inside lane. We'll see how this one unfolds here. We've got a pair of Olsen cars running in positions 1 and 2. Camara now right tight to the rear nerve bar of Horton.
And we do have rain falling here at Fonda as Camara tries to dip down low, so there are going to be very slippery points of this racetrack. If Horton slips up 1 iota, Camara can take him.
If he can find the traction, that's the problem. He runs the bottom of the racetrack. Very, very smooth run. He's caught Horton again. Here the door is open. Can Camara make the pass?
5 laps to go. We know the story of Horton. He left Winston Cup Racing to return to dirt modifieds in the summer of '94. Very, very successful. He leads in the 87. The 26th is Camara.
The crowd is going wild, Doug. Their hometown favorite going against the big guy, Jimmy Horton, and he is all over him. Horton leads, but Camara is putting on the show. Nobody's watching second or third right now. Camara had an open door, couldn't make the pass. The slippery racetrack is obviously playing to the advantage of the race leader.
Did you see how the rear end of Jimmy Horton slid out there? They are now running down the front straightaway, and we have 3 laps remaining.
Jimmy Horton, winner of the Syracuse 300 back in 1994. He's won that race a few times, and he's, we've said, all kinds of experience. Super speedways with ARCA cars and Busch Grand National cars, Winston Cup cars. He's done it all. He's trying to put another notch in his career here right now.
Out of turn 4 down the front straightaway, 2 laps to go. Horton once again has that pedal firmly against the metal. Going outside is Camara. He'll try it outside in turn number 2. Can he get him? No. Horton hangs on to the lead down the backstretch.
Camara has been running the inside lane all race long, but now he knows it's do or die. He's got to, because Horton's going to protect the inside. Camara's going to have to make it work on the outside. Jimmy Horton would like to win this one for his birthday that's coming up in just next week on July 3rd.
We are in the final lap, and Camara goes way out high and loses precious ground to the leader, Jimmy Horton. Horton down the back straightaway. Dave Camara in second. Camara tries to close in and turn 3, now to turn 4. And out of turn 4, it's Jimmy Horton down the front straightaway. He takes the checkered flag over Camara, and Jimmy Horton has won Thunder 5, brought to you by Budweiser on the Skull Racing Super Dirt Series.
Incredible run.
Paul Small is down in the infield with Charlie DeAngelis. Paul?
Charlie, congratulations. Great run for the Duchess 87 car tonight, and you didn't really change too much after the qualifying heats this evening.
No, we were real tight in the beginning. You know, we thought the track would come to us, but you know, we were fortunate tonight. We had a good starting position. Everything worked out in our favor.
Great to see you back in victory lane 2 times in a row.
Thank you very much.
To you, Doug.
Well, there is a very happy driver, Jimmy Horton in the 87, the winner of our School Racing Super Dirt Series event, live on Sports Channel here at Fonda.
As we mentioned earlier, Doug, this is a big win for Horton as his birthday comes up on Thursday. Second straight Thunder win here at the Speedway. So Jimmy Horton out of New Jersey recording the win, but the show was put on by the second place finisher, David Camara.
Well, he got the lead from Kenny Tremont, and Jimmy Horton ran a very strong race. And you know, as much as Dave Camara tried to get down low, he couldn't do it. He tried to pull out all the stops by going high the last few laps, couldn't quite get the job done, as this veteran, Jimmy Horton, comes away with a much coveted win and that $15,000 first place prize money. Let's go down now to victory lane and Paul Small.
Jim Horton is the winner of Budweiser Thunder 5. Jimmy, run this evening.
Oh, it was great. This Duchess team did one heck of a job on the car. You know, it was just had to drive it around. You know, it was a pretty smooth race. You know, we had to worry about the rain a little bit. What can I say? You know, Olsen chassis, file motor. You know, what else can you ask for?
You really had to worry about Dave Camara there at the end as well. He was right at your heel.
Oh yeah, he shook us down. You know, he'd run us down there, and you know, I had to come off the top where we were comfortable, and you know, I just lost a lot of rhythm, and he got with us, and you know, I just had to run his line and make him go to my old line.
Congratulations, phenomenal run for you tonight, Jimmy.
Oh, that's great. You know, I'm just glad we can back to back it. You know, like I said, his Duchess overhead door team is putting a race car under me. I just got to drive it.
Jimmy Horton sits in victory lane for the second year in a row in the Budweiser Thunder 5. Doug?
He has tasted the agony of defeat. You talked about that Winston Cup crash at Talladega. He was nearly killed in an ARCA race, a big wreck last November driving Kenny Schrader's car, but he is back and he is on top of the game as Jimmy Horton crawls out of the cockpit and waves to the enthusiastic fans here at Fonda Speedway, the winner of Thunder 5, and what a masterful performance.
Outstanding run, and you talked about the crash and nearly killed. That's of course true, and he was out for a number of weeks recuperating, and there was some question if he'd be able to come back at full strength for 1996.
Jimmy Horton wins Budweiser Thunder 5. We'll be back with more Budweiser Thunder 5 from Fonda Speedway on Sports Channel.
Rush Hour on Dirt.
This is your race update from the Fast Track. Rolling Wheels Raceway.
The exhibits for the annual Fonda Fair. This year's fair will be held right here at the track August 27th through September 2nd. We hope to see you here. Well, Jimmy Horton is in victory lane holding up a check for $15,000, but Cowboy Paul Small is down with Dave Camara, who finished second.
Camara, the top local finisher, one of the regulars here at the Fonda Speedway. Dave, there in the last 10 laps, you got close to him, but you couldn't get him. What happened?
Well, I got up to him and it started sprinkling a little bit harder, and I was hanging the tail a little bit more, and Jimmy was hanging the tail, but I just couldn't get a run on him. I tried him on the outside in the last lap. I don't know, I just needed a little bit more. A couple more laps, we probably could have had him, but you never know.
Why were you able to get such a good bite down there on the bottom to get close to him?
I don't know, we tightened the car up. These guys have done such a terrific job with this car all year. This Camara Slate crew was they're unbelievable, and they really put me in a good car tonight, and I felt really comfortable on the bottom. Nobody else was down there, so I kept working on it, made it work because I knew nobody else was down there, so I kept picking away and picking away.
How much does it mean to you to finish second in this race at your home track?
Oh, this is incredible. You know, these guys have done such a great job for me, and I wish we could have won the thing, but we came up one short, but we'll take a second place here tonight.
Dave, why would you travel all the way from Vermont when you have racetracks within maybe an hour or two of you to come here to Fonda to run?
Well, this place, Fonda's always been really good to me. I've taken a liking to it since the first time I've ever raced here, and I don't know, the fans are great here, and we like it here. We enjoy it, and we seem to go good, so we're going to stay.
Dave Camara is one of the top young superstars on the dirt circuit, as well as here at Fonda Speedway. Doug?
Paul, Dave Camara entered the competition tonight, number 2 in the point standings here at Fonda Speedway, the track of champions. He's trying to become a champion. He wants to become a full-time dirt modified driver. Family business. Camara Slate currently owns the team. There's Jimmy Horton and the jubilation and the lucrative payday here out of a purse of over $40,000.
45,006, I think, was the total tabulation, Doug. And we talked about Hearn coming from the back of the pack. Well, several other of our top 5 finishers did as well. We'll give you the rundown here. Horton, the winner, he started in position number 4. Camara comes home second. He started back in position number 20. Kenny Tremont started on the pole. He faded to finish in 3rd. Bobby Varon finishes 4.
Incidentally, Kenny Tremont continues to be the Skoal Series Ironman. Now 201 consecutive Skoal starts. He has not missed an event since 1985. He finishes 3rd.
That's an incredible record. We were talking about Bobby Varon. He started back in position number 24 to come home in 4. Another hometown driver that put on a great show for the fans here. Hearn started back in position number 18 to finish in position number 5. He will maintain the Skoal Series point lead. He finished 3rd in the opener at Brewerton. He won last Sunday at Cornwall. So with a 3rd, a 1st, and a 5th, he is our point leader as we go off to Rolling Wheels Raceway on next Thursday.
Now Billy Pouch finishes 6th. He had an interesting ride, but he was slowly but surely sliding backwards. Outlaw winner at the wheels will be ready to return to his favorite track.
Yeah, that's right. Here's our 7th place, the top 12 now. Doug Hoffman finishes in 7th. Jimmy Chester, a great run for the young driver out of Newfield, New Jersey. Timmy Fuller out of upstate New York finishes in position number 9. Pat Ward, a regular here at this racetrack, in 10th. And Danny Johnson, who was up in the top 5 for a while, has to settle for 11th. Jeff Hetzler comes out of a consolation way in the back of the pack to finish in position number 12.
All right, 13th, Kenny Brightbell, then A.J. Romano, Billy Decker, Frank Cozy, Tim Dwyer, and there's Tony Pepicelli, who started outside row 1.
So Tony had not the kind of night he was hoping for. Again, this is all unofficial until the scores sort things out.
Once again, our winner is Jimmy Horton. We'll be back with more coverage of Budweiser Thunder 5 from Fonda on Sports Channel.
D.I.R.T. Sportswear Direct. Now featuring
Fonda and Bob Hilbert Sportswear is the official supplier of D.I.R.T. Motorsports apparel. Let's go down to Cowboy Paul Small.
With Kenny Tremont, 3rd place finisher in the Fane Concrete 115. Started on the pole, but couldn't stay there.
No, we just loosened up a little bit, just enough so those guys. Hello to Kenny, Cale, and Mason at home. We'll see you in a little while.
Well, Kenny Tremont winds up with a 3rd place finish tonight, but look for him to be tough later on during the Rush Hour on Dirt Series. Doug?
Well, Gary, no doubt about it, Kenny Tremont had a strong ride, but no one had a stronger ride than Jimmy Horton. He was locked up and was very, very deserving of this wonderful $15,000 first place prize money.
Well, Jimmy put on the show and led the most laps and comes home the victor, but I'm sure the crowd favorite is Camaro.
All right, so our winner once again is Jimmy Horton.
Rush Hour
for
official
Gary
vehicles
Montgomery,
are provided.
Paul Small, and the entire Rush Hour on Dirt crew. This is Doug Logan saying thank you for joining us, and so long for now. We'll see you next Thursday night, July 4th, for the Firecracker 75.
Rush Hour official vehicle. Our official vehicles are provided by Chevrolet. For over 80 years, we've built our name on a simple idea. Value you can always depend on. Genuine Chevrolet. Race communications for Rush Hour provided by Racing Electronics Professional Race Team Communications, the official race communications company of D.I.R.T. Motorsports. Rush Hour apparel provided by Bob Hilbert Sportswear, the official supplier of D.I.R.T. Motorsports apparel. For custom screen printed and embroidered sportswear, it's Bob Hilbert Sportswear.
These great folks for their quality protection.
Knee-high by the 4th of July. In the country, this is a time-honored recipe for success. July also presents a chance to exchange the farm work for cotton candy, games of chance, and whirling rides of the annual county fair. Ah, the rides. Spinning, flying, swooping, all at breakneck speed. Well, tonight, hold on to that hat because this ride flies down a straightaway and dives into a sharp left. And somebody else is going to want to be right where you are. The Mighty Modified Classifieds take over the Cuba County Fair. Next on Sports Channel.
Dirt tracking. Born in the cornfields and lower 40s of rural America. Dirt tracking. The cornerstone of racing. The early barnstormers put it all on the line to satisfy their thirst for speed. Now, their great-grandchildren carry the torch with the same spirit and thirst. 700 horsepower rips the earth. For 1 hour, nothing else matters. It'll raise the hair on the back of your neck. Rush Hour on Dirt.
We are live at the home of Dirt Motorsports, the Cuba County Fair Speedway in Weedsport, New York, as Tracy Road Equipment presents the Cuba County Fair 75. There is nothing more traditional and all-American than the county fair. With bumper cars, roller coasters, Ferris wheels, exhibits, and cotton candy, there's something for kids of all ages. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Doug Logan. Welcome to Rush Hour on Dirt. Well, what we are about to see over the next hour most certainly is not kids' play, as the world's greatest dirt-modified drivers try to tackle this tough Weedsport Speedway track. Joining me is the voice of Dirt Motorsports, Gary Montgomery. And Gary, this speedway is steeped in history and tradition.
It certainly is, Doug. In 1955, a cornfield was converted to a racetrack along the banks of the Erie Canal. But more important than the Erie Canal, the fact that it's about 1 mile from exit number 40 of the New York State Thruway. For the intervening 41 years has been stock car racing here each and every week during the summer months. In 1971, the joint took on an all-new look when the enterprising and then young Glenn Donnelly bought the facility, and since then has converted it to the Sunday night race place for dirt track stock car racing. Many drivers have competed here, over 100, many hundreds. Some of the more notables include Dutch Hogue, Will Cagle, Merv Treichler, Mike McLaughlin, the late and great Richie Evans, and Dave Kneisel, Jimmy Champagne. They've all tested their skills here on this racetrack.
We all know that this track presents a special challenge to our competitors. How can they conquer it?
That's tonight's $5,000 question. That's the winner's share tonight. It's a tight racetrack. It's a third of a mile around, but more important, there's a wall all the way around the outside, and about half of the inside has a wall as well. It's very confining. It'll be a contact sport. They'll be looking for a groove on the top and on the bottom. We're in for some exciting racing.
Now that we've told you this racetrack is virtually indomitable, our Paul Small is in the pits with some men who have conquered it.
You've heard in professional sports how the home field advantage means so much. Well, nowhere is it more prevalent in motorsports than right here at Cuyahoga County. And the Hurricane Steve Payne is one of those guys who has that distinct home field advantage. Steve, is this a handling or a horsepower track?
It's definitely a handling track, especially tonight. It's real slick, and some guys got big blocks, some guys got small blocks, but it's definitely handling over horsepower.
Most of the races that have been run here at the Cuyahoga County Fair Speedway, it's been very rare that any outsiders have ever won a feature event here. One of the regulars here has had a phenomenal season, Canadian Joe Plaza, who drives the white car #1. He has won 5 features so far here this year at the Cuyahoga County Fair Speedway. Joe, you've done 5 this year. Can you make it number 6 tonight?
I sure hope we can make it 6. The problem is with this place, as everybody will see in just a short time here, is it's a 2-lane racetrack, and then this place plugs up real easy. You'll get a bottom and a top groove, and to make it real simple, it's like pulling up to the stoplight in the city. You pick the curb lane because you think it's going to be fast. There's 1 car in it. There's 5 in the passing lane. All of a sudden, that guy in the curb lane doesn't really have any place to go, and particularly real fast. You get passed by 5 or 6 real quick. So it's a 2-lane track, but you really got to pick lanes real carefully.
Now, one way to do well if you have a home field advantage is to have a lot of experience at the place that you're running at. And nobody has more experience than Barefoot Bob McCready here at the Cuyahoga County Fair Speedway. As a matter of fact, he's won 47 races here. Bob, you're one of the kingpins here at Cuyahoga County. The outsiders don't do too well here. Why is it so hard for an outside invader to win a race here?
Well, all the talent on the dirt circuit kind of congregates here on a Sunday. You know, all the track champions, all the previous Mr. Dirt title winners are all here, and it's a very difficult place to win a race.
Well, there you have it from the master of going faster himself. This is kind of like an all-star game here tonight. We just had one in baseball a couple of days ago. We're going to see here one tonight at Cuyahoga County. Doug?
All right, when we return, we'll set this 700 horsepower bumper car ride in gear. This is the Cuyahoga County Fair 75, live on Sports Channel.
Rush Hour on Dirt.
Rush Hour on Dirt is brought to you in part by CarQuest Auto Parts Stores, Racing Electronics Race Team Communications, Bob Hilbert Sportswear, Hoosier Racing Tires, Sunoco Race Fuels, and by Chevrolet, the cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. It's genuine. We are live at the home of dirt motorsports, Cayuga County Fair Speedway in Weedsport, New York, and this is the Cayuga County Fair 75 live on Sports Channel. Doug Logan along with Gary Montgomery and our race analysis this evening. This race, 75 laps. The cautions do not count. Total purse, $20,000. The winner's share, $5,000.
Our track description, this is a third-mile clay oval. The straightaways are about 400 feet on the front straightaway, 275 on the back. The corners are banked about 12 degrees. There's all the way around the outside and about half of the inside.
Always most important to the competitors, the track conditions. Paul Small?
Doug, unlike last week at Rolling Wheels where the surface was tacky, we haven't had any rain here in about the past 4 days. We've had lots of sunshine, so we have what we call a dry slick racing surface. There's a blue groove of rubber that's built down on the inside lane. There's not a heavy cushion tonight. It's up against the wall, so the guys running high are practically going to be on the retaining wall as they go around this racetrack. This racetrack, as Doug and Gary told you, is a little bit different. Turns 1 and 2 are very distinct. The second corner angles sharply onto a downhill backstretch, and then you go into turn 3. This is the fastest part of the track. The drivers are flat out going through here. This is where you're going to see the majority of the passing in tonight's feature event. Doug?
Our field is about to get in motion. And let's take a look at our starting lineups for tonight's Cayuga County Fair 75. On the pole, number 11, 24 years of age and two-time sportsman champion of this track, flying Brian Turner. On the outside is the 89B of Todd Burley.
Second row on the inside is a professional race car driver, 38-year-old Jeff Hetzler out of Wallkill, New York. He'll be driving car 33, the reclamation car. Alongside is a three-time track champion here, Bob McCready out of Watertown. You heard from him earlier. He won the championship here in 1985, again in 90 and 94. He's 45 years old.
Let's take a look at row number 3. Rising dirt star Gary Tompkins and the number 18 Bobby Barron.
Back in row number 4, driver that you met earlier as well, Steve Payne. He's a 4-time champion here as well. He won a championship in the late model class, 2 modifieds, and a 358 last year. Alongside is Ronnie Smoker, returning to racing after an absence of a couple of years.
Row 5, the 91 of Billy Decker and the number 1 of Canadian Joe Plozek. He leads the modified ranks here in 96 with 5 wins. He's the defending track champion.
Back in row number 6 now on the inside will be Timmy Fuller out of Edwards, New York. He's 28 years old. He's in his second year as a full-time modified stock car driver. Alongside is the youngest driver in the field, 21-year-old Jimmy Phelps out of Baldwinsville. He's in car number 99J.
Row 7, a man who won the modified feature, his first ever here last Sunday, the 47 of Scott Prentice. And outside, the 00 of Buzzy Rudeman.
Row number 8 on the inside, a driver that we've seen earlier this summer, but this will be the first time we're seeing him in the number 74. It's Frank Cozy out of Wind Gap, Pennsylvania. Alongside is the 1991 Mr. Dirt champion, Doug Hoffman in the Taylor Motorsports car number 1D.
High-powered row number 9, Danny Johnson and Brett the Jet Hearn.
Row number 10 on the inside is the guy we call the Dream Weaver. It's Brian Weaver. He's out of Binghamton, New York, 33 years old. He's won 9 feature races already this year. Alongside is 24-year-old Dave Exon. He's from nearby Port Byron, New York. He's in car number 111.
Row 11, the 19, Kenny Brightbill, 46 years of age, and the 56 of Pat Ward.
Row number 12 on the inside. This will be starting position number 23. A 358 modified rookie driver from nearby Auburn is Jeff Bliss. His dancing partner, starting 24th, will be car number 99, Charlie Donk out of Macedon.
Row 13, Steve Glover and Chuck Bauer.
Back in row number 14 on the inside will be the 83 of Tommy Sears Jr. He's from Clay, New York, and alongside is the Syracuse firefighter Todd Milton. He's in car number 96 tonight.
And row 15, Alan Johnson, 14J, AJ Slideways.
Frank Cozy is again carrying our in-car camera, the CarQuest Auto Parts in-car camera. For 1996, Cozy is splitting his 120 race program between 4 different cars. We've seen him for the past couple of weeks in the Rick and Quirky Thump car number 12D. Tonight he's in the Joe Booth, Steve Hastings number 74.
Our green flag is out and we are racing at Cayuga County Fairgrounds. Brian Turner is down low. Out high, Todd Burley. Down the backstretch they go. Jeff Hetzler's 3rd. Bob McCready is 4th. And Turner still low in the groove on the racetrack is the leader, but now flying Running on the outside is Todd Burley.
Todd Burley makes the pass. Look at McCready wobbling the car, trying to find room. He's dove to the bottom of the racetrack now, trying to run around Brian Turner. Turner on the outside, McCready on the inside. He's got company in the form of Hetzler.
Todd Burley, 25 years of age, a 358 modified rookie from Spencerport, New York, is the leader.
We just had a shot there of them going 3 wide. Here we see Hetzler on the bottom in the yellow and brown 33. Gary Tompkins up on the outside, and there's Ronnie Smoker making contact with the wall, car number 95, but he's away. He'll continue.
Just an example, if you get out of the groove, no matter how wide it is, you are going to kiss that outside retaining wall. Always so dangerous.
Tight racing. Here we see Steve Payne down on the bottom and Joe Blazek along the outside. They're trying to run down Ronnie Smoker, the guy that was involved in that little altercation a moment ago. Here's a battle for the number 2 spot now. The veteran McCready on the inside of the sophomore driver Brian Turner. They're trying to run down the leader Burley, who's an absolute rookie in modified racing. This is great stuff up front here, Doug.
Brian Turner on the outside. Bob McCready, the number 9, tries to get the bite down low, and looks like he's got it on the backstretch. Bob McCready running second. Big leader, though, is Todd Burley, and you saw the interval there just for a brief second. But McCready runs second.
Burley has been a big winner in sportsman racing. He moves up to the 358 modifieds this year. So now, Doug, we may have the situation that we thought we might have earlier. We didn't talk about it on the air, but 358s versus big blocks. We got a 358 with the rookie driver Burley leading, the big block of McCready running second. We'll see if horsepower works here on this slick racetrack.
Bob McCready, who is a 3-time track champion, running in second place, and there's some slicing and dicing a little further back.
It certainly is. Payne way down on the bottom. That's for position number 7 now. Payne goes to the bottom of the racetrack. In the middle is Joe Blazek. They're trying to run down Smoker in the 95. Decker will make it a 4-car battle. All those cars battling for position 7 and 8.
4 deep coming out of turn 4. My, what wheel-to-wheel racing.
Again, Smoker on the outside. Decker comes from the back of towards the back of the pack. He's past Blazek. That's a bit of a surprise. Blazek, as you heard earlier, many-time winner here this year. He's down on the bottom, and up on top goes the yellow and white 91 of Billy Decker.
Very, very high groove for Ron Smoker, and apparently no big damage to his car from that brush with the wall earlier.
If there's anything wrong, it's certainly not showing. And we talked earlier about the cushion up against the wall. That's why they're running all the way up there, Paul. There's a little bit of dirt up there, and the cushion will hold them in the racetrack. Some of the guys going way up on top to make their battle. And this is a battle for position number 3 right now. Brian Turner has it. Gary Tompkins, another young driver, wants it. He's on the bottom of 32. Turner on the outside. Inside, outside. Both these drivers advancing to the modifieds from the sportsman ranks just a couple of years ago.
Turner drew as the top 3 finishers from 4 heats actually drew for position. He drew the pole, much like he did this past Sunday at Syracuse for the Big Skull Racing Super Dirt Series event.
Turner wheels on the outside. Gary Tompkins down on the bottom. He's employed by Troyer Race Cars and Parts in Rochester, New York. He's the sheet metal fabricator responsible for the bodies on a number of these race cars. In fact, most of them that come out of Troyer Race Cars and Parts, the bodies built by Gary Tompkins.
Any number of these drivers race full-time. They're professional race car drivers, but there are a number in this case that have to show up for work tomorrow.
That's right, including our leader. He's a tool maker. That's Todd Burley. These guys both have to go to work. Again, Tompkins works for Troyer Race Cars and Parts. So they're a little understanding of these guys that take a night off to go racing. But Turner, he's got to go to work. He's involved in a pit operation at his dad's facility in Victor, New York.
Boy, again, you can see how high on the race course Ron Smoker is wheeling that machine. There's Turner, the number 11. Jeff Hetzler's trying to get a nose underneath.
Yeah, Hetzler's in position 5 now, trying to run down Turner, who runs in position number 4. Hetzler with a whole lot more experience. He's in the Smitty's Reclamation car 33. He goes against Turner. He'll pick up the spot.
Always fast and hard racing here at Weedsport and Cuyahoga County Fair. We are 14 laps of our 75-lap race. 14 in.
The battle for the number 4 spot continues. Turner runs the outside, and here is Hetzler. He'll make the pass now. Here comes Ronnie Smoker and Bobby Varon. We haven't talked about Varon. He's in the white car number 18. He's come from the back of the pack to challenge for the number 5 and 6 spot right now as they race down the back straightaway.
And already our race leader, Todd Burley in the 89, is into lap traffic, and so he is negotiating high on the race course as we continue to watch the Tompkins run here.
Tompkins runs in position number 3 with Hetzler in 4. Brian Turner back at 5. Now Varon makes the pass, or does he? Varon on the bottom of the white 18, battling with Brian Turner for position number 5. Just caught just a shot of Decker as he's trying to join in that battle.
There's Varon, Turner, and Decker. Smoker out high in the 95.
One thing you got to say about Brian Turner, he's consistent. He's staying up on top. We've seen a couple of the drivers changing lanes, but Turner has stayed up on top all night long. I'm not sure how much longer he can afford to stay up there because he's losing spots. He's now back to about the number 6 position as he loses the spot to both Varon and Decker. You can see how slick the racetrack, Doug, is the lights reflect on it, and we talked earlier about it would be slick. Well, I think there's a demonstration of just exactly how slick it is.
We're about to go 3 wide once again with Payne and Smoker and Turner, and Joe Plosick is making some inroads.
Ronnie Smoker, what a story here. He's a second-generation driver. He was out of racing for a couple of years, and he came back this year a bit rusty, people thought, but right out of the box, he was quick. He's been strong all summer long. He's running with a limited budget. The missed racing team, we've got a spin in turn number 2. Hetzler, who was running in the number 2 or the 3rd spot, I guess.
And look how he was able to correct that and get going once again. And we have a yellow flag coming out. He was in 5th place. There is starter Dave Farney waving the yellow flag as we have caution here at Cayuga County Fair Speedway. Hetzler moving on the racetrack appears to be okay. That's Danny Johnson in the number 6.
Starter Dave Farney indicating he's slow down.
So the yellow flag is out here at Weedsport. We're 20 laps into our 75-lap championship. Rush Hour on Dirt will continue with more coverage live on Sports Channel. Doug Logan along with Gary Montgomery back at Cayuga County Fairgrounds in Weedsport, New York. This is the Cayuga County Fair 75, and Jeff Hetzler's spin brought out the yellow flag. He's moved from 5th place back to 13th. Meanwhile, there's one man in the pits now with Paul Small. It's Brett Hearn.
Brett Hearn in the Budweiser number 3 out of the race early. What's the matter?
Well, you know, we decided here to come tonight. It was a non-point race. We decided to come here and do a little experimenting with a car that we haven't run yet this year, and the experiment was a failure in every way. And we got out there in the car. We tried everything we could to get the car to tighten up. And the track is extremely slick, and nothing we did worked. And we just decided to pull it in and rest it tonight.
So Brett Hearn and his crew are going to have to do a little homework after this race, Doug.
Green flag flies once again, and Bob McCready is testing Todd Burley down low in turn 2, now down the backstretch, and it looks like McCready has him by about half a car length.
This was good news. This caution was good news and bad news for Burley. The good news was that the racetrack that was full of the lap cars is now no longer a problem. But the bad news is that McCready was able to pull tight behind him for the restart. It looks like McCready will take the lead. Burley's 24 years old. He funds his own operation. His dad owns the car, and they pool their resources. He's employed as a tool maker at Apollo Tool and Die. He took some time off early this afternoon, hoping to make a big payday here at Weedsport this evening.
Meanwhile, look at the rest of the pack. Behind Burley and McCready, we have side-by-side racing, which typifies what Dirt Motorsports is all about.
And that little wall encounter earlier with Ronnie Smoker had didn't deter the young man at all. He continues to run way up on top. We saw him almost make contact with the wall again here just a lap to go.
You see the 7 of Steve Payne. There's Bobby Varon, the 18, just out of your picture now. Ron Smoker.
Another guy showing up in the picture here occasionally as he's now moved into the top 10 is Danny Johnson. He's in the white car number 6. He's not shown right now. We've got Brian Turner, the pole sitter, early race leader, slowing in turn number 4. Brian Turner out of Victor, New York, slows the J.G. Turner Construction Troyer bus, and he may have a big problem. He certainly has a problem as he was running towards the front. If he's able to continue, we'll go from the rear.
Turner, outside groove, heads into the pits. This comes on lap 25, so up to 26, so we are about 1/3 of the way through our race. And now whoever leads the race on a side-by-side restart has the option of taking the green flag from the outside or the inside, and McCready, at least initially, was on the outside.
Yeah, that is not necessarily a surprise here, Doug, tonight, as that groove is probably the faster groove. But McCready generally can make his car work on the top or the bottom wherever there isn't somebody else. That's where you got to go. So we call him the master of going faster. And one of the reasons is he can pick the lane that generally works the best.
We have a great week of racing ahead in early August. Take a look at this. The World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, 30 laps at Lebanon Valley Speedway. Tuesday, August 6th, modifieds, 30 lappers. Racing starts at 7:15, rescheduled from June 3rd, that rain out. If you buy a reserved seat for the August 8th show by August 5th, you will be eligible to win one of 2 limo rides with Winston Cup star Dale Earnhardt. Circle your calendars. Pick up your phone. Lebanon Valley Speedway. And Busch Beer presents Mr. Dirt Track USA. Thursday, August 8th, modified. 75 laps, $17,500 to win. Once again, race time is 7:15. And remember, if you buy a reserved seat for that August 8th show by August 5th, you'll be eligible to win one of 2 limo rides with Winston Cup star Dale Earnhardt. How about that? He'll have a lot to talk about.
I wonder if it's a black Chevrolet limo.
With a number on it?
Yeah, it might have number 3 Goodwrench along the side.
Yeah, there are a couple of numbers, 89 and 9 leading the way. We saw just ahead of the pack our Rush Hour on Dirt Camaro pace car by Chevrolet.
Bobby Barron, a surprising run for this young driver at Fonda a couple of weeks ago. He's up to position number 3 now. Gary Tompkins, we've seen him in the screen all evening long. He runs in position 4. Ronnie Smoker, the wall banger here tonight, runs at 5. Timmy Fuller has come from the middle of the pack to run in position number 6. We're 25 laps in to this 75-lap contest.
Our heat winners tonight, Joe Plosick, Bob McCready, Billy Decker, Jeff Hetzler, and the consolation winner, Kenny Brightbill. Green flag flies at Cayuga County Fair. And we are underway once again with Bob McCready taking the high groove. He's got the top spot. Gary Tompkins is dueling for the 2nd position.
Tompkins, in a bonsai move, comes from the top of 2nd row to the bottom of the racetrack, and he takes over the number 2 spot. He'll try to run down McCready. Meanwhile, they're 3 wide with Ronnie Smoker running right down the middle. He is going to make the... Oh, look at that traffic jam. Unbelievable. Nearly 100 miles an hour, closer than you park your car in the supermarket parking lot.
It truly did look like rush hour, didn't it? Up high, up very high was Todd Burley, and he may have lost a couple of positions.
He's drifting back. Now remember, he's running a 358 small block car. The guys that have passed him are both in big blocks. Here's the CarQuest Auto Parts in-car camera with a shot out of the back of the Smith Brothers Concrete number 74, Frank Cozy at the keyboard. And testing him right now is Charlie Donkin, 99.
What a good-looking shot from the CarQuest Auto Parts in-car camera. Frank Cozy currently in 16th position. A little bump there. Alan Johnson knocking on the door.
Well, apparently Alan was in number 17. He's come from the last starting position. He had a problem in his heat, had to go to a guaranteed starting spot, so he's come halfway through the pack here as we work on lap number 29 now.
How do you like this shot out of the back of the Frank Cozy machine?
Well, if you're asking the question, I love it. Here's Charlie Dog. He's going to test it. Oh, boy. Charlie driving a car that he and his wife Wanda own together. A little bumper tag there. And that camera, I hope it's not too expensive, Doug.
Oh, my. CarQuest Auto Parts, thank you so much for that thrilling shot. And there is the 74 of Frank Cozy. And right behind him, the 99 of Charlie Dong.
Charlie, a former motorcycle racer that's come to the stock car racing a few years ago, came up to the street stock division and has done just a great job with a very limited budget. Here we see Bobby Barron working the extreme bottom of the racetrack. He runs in position number 2. Tompkins is in 3. They're trying to run down Bob McCready, our race leader.
Very, very interesting story about Bobby Barron. First modified bought. He sold 2 cows to raise $1,200 for the car almost 10 years ago. That's the 18 of Bobby Barron. Here is a battle with Danny Johnson and company.
Here we see Danny working the inside as he's moved around Burley. In tow is the 91 of Billy Decker. So Danny Johnson Daring Dan, the stock car man, and the Freightliner of Newburgh's car number 6, threading his way through traffic here. Patience is what it takes. He's in position number 4 now. Decker is in 5. Burley has slipped back to the number 6 spot.
Yeah, Danny in 4th, and he's up from a 17th starting position, so he's charging.
And we talked about not being able to pass. Well, I guess it depends on how much nerve you got or how much talent you got or whatever it might take. Again, we see a shot from the CarQuest Auto Parts camera being carried by Frank Cozy. Charlie Donk is all over him. Oh, he's going to make the pass, or is he? He's alongside, almost can't make the pass.
And this is just an example of the close wheel-to-wheel racing at high speeds here at Cuyahoga County Fair.
It's unbelievable. Here comes Tommy Sears on the outside in that bright yellow car. He'll move by Donk. He'll try to run down Cozy now. Again, Cozy, I mentioned earlier, he's planning 120 races this summer. He's got 4 cars at his disposal. He's in the Smith Brothers Concrete CarQuest Auto Parts number 74 for tonight's program.
And Frank continues to run in 17th position. Our leader continues to be Bob McCready, and Bobby Varon is about 6 car lengths behind him.
6 car lengths behind and charging on the outside. Again, we've got that bumper cam working Charlie Donk all over Cozy, but cannot make the pass. Again, this is for position number 17 in the middle of the pack.
This is just such a sensational shot, especially when they slide into the turns as these cars do.
Well, we're watching out the battle out of the back. If we had a camera on the side, we'd see that Tommy Sears has now pulled alongside, and he may be able to make the pass. They're neck and neck, door handle to door handle, as they race out of turn 2 and head down the back straightaway. Way down on the bottom is Cozy. Up on the top comes Tommy Sears, and he does make the pass.
We have reached the halfway point of our Fair 75 here in Weedsport.
Decker racing with Don Burley. This is for position number 6 now. Decker on the outside. Burley has come from the top to the bottom. He'll try it down there for a while as he tries to get some experience here on this tight little bull ring.
Not sure it's going to work with this duel with Decker, who debuted this Olson car just last week.
Well, it's an Olson car for Decker. It's a Troyer car for Todd Burley.
Again, we see Danny Johnson in the number 6 machine, and he's high on the outside of Gary Tompkins, running 4th.
It's a battle for 4. Now, Danny's got a small block in his car tonight. Tompkins has a big block. Danny's running a 358, not because he necessarily wants to, but he's got no big block engines left. They've had engine trouble on all 3 of their big blocks over the past several weeks, so Danny's down to his last running motor for this car, the Ray Bramall-owned Freightliner of Newburgh's car. It's a 358 built by Precision, but it's doing a great job for Danny right now.
Look at how high Decker was on the race course, as once again we rejoin Danny Johnson and the number 32 of 30-year-old Gary Tompkins out of McDougal, New York.
So Danny runs in position number 4. Sorry, up to the number 3 spot now. Danny takes over the number 3 spot. He has come from deep in the pack. In fact, he started back in number 17. So Danny's probably passed more cars than anybody else. We've got caution on the speedway, Doug. Oh, it's our in-car camera car. Cozy's left the racetrack over between turns 1 and 2. And we don't know what the problem is there.
So the Smith Brothers CarQuest Auto Parts number 74 is in the infield, parked 43 laps into our 75-lap event on rush hour. Looking to see what the problem is. Perhaps a left rear flat tire.
I suspected that could be the problem. Looked like he went to the infield in a hurry. He wants to make a pit stop. Now, again, caution laps are not counting here, so although he'll lose a lot of track position, he will not necessarily lose a lap if his crew can replace the tire in time. This car, it's a Smith Brothers Concrete sponsored car, but it's owned by Joe Kuth and Steve Hastings, normally campaigns down at the Orange County Fair Speedway.
All right, 43 laps in the books out of 75 here at Weedsport, New York. Rush hour will continue with more of our coverage of the Cuyahoga County Fair 75 live on Sports Channel.
Rush hour on Dirt.
We are back and we are live at Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds in Weedsport, New York. The Cuyahoga County Fair 75, and yes, the roar of dirt modified engines may be music to your ears, but we have more great fairgrounds music entertainment this coming weekend. If you're anywhere near Central New York this Saturday, check out Lollapalooza 96 at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. Saturday, July 13th, $38 a ticket. Showtime 2 o'clock. Doors open at noon. Tickets available at the fairgrounds. We'll see you there. We're racing once again at Weedsport. Bob McCready in the number 9 has the lead. Bobby Varon second. There's Danny Johnson in the number 6.
Johnson runs in position 3. Gary Tompkins is back at 4. Burley has slipped to the number 5 spot. Decker runs in 6. Hetzler is in 7. Joe Plazik up to 8. Ronnie Smoker is 9. And Scotty Prentice rounds out the top 10.
Now Bobby Varon is giving Bob McCready a real serious challenge here.
Serious indeed. He's going to run the bottom of the racetrack. McCready's up on top. 2 big block cars here, and they're going at it. We've got the youngster, sort of, Varon. He's won 2 feature races this summer, both of those at the Fonda Speedway, and he was a star in our show, the opening Rush Hour program. He came from deep in the pack, 24th to finish 4th in that race at Fonda. He's doing better here tonight. But Danny Johnson from 17th to 3rd, really charging.
There's Danny Johnson, and there is a look at Todd Burley getting bumped around a little bit by Jeff Hetzler, who earlier spun and kept the car righted. This is a battle for 6th place, and there's Joe Plazik entering the picture.
First time we've seen Joe, I think, on the screen all night long, but the Canadian driver in the Maple Leaf Special car number 1 wheels to the outside of the racetrack. He's the winningest driver at this track this year and the defending track champion.
There's Bobby Varon once again, and Danny Johnson. Danny Johnson trying to go outside of Varon. Varon, 25 years of age, out of Sharon Spring, New York.
Interesting story on this car. It was given to him as a graduation present by his car owner, Max Phillip. It's an Olson chassis car. Varon graduated from Montgomery Fultonville Community College last year near his home with a degree in construction technology. But he's constructing a great race program right now. He runs in position number 2, challenging for lead a moment ago, but now he's trying to protect that number 2 spot. The doctor is on him.
And report out of the pits, Danny Johnson is running a 358 modified in that car, and he is trying to get a grip on 2nd place against Varon, as we're now showing a battle for 4th place with Gary Tompkins and Billy Decker.
Decker will run the outside. Now he's come from farther back in the pack than has Tompkins, and they're having a good battle as they go top and bottom of the racetrack. We said there'd be 2 grooves, and we were right on that one, Doug.
I had no idea that the outside groove would be that far outside, though, for tonight.
They can't get much further out. There's not much of a cushion up there, so they're going to go right up against the top. Now, that's the advantage. If there's an advantage to walls, it holds the clay up there, so they can't throw it all the way off the racing surface. So there's a bit of a berm up there that'll keep the car down in the racing lane generally and allow them to make progress towards the front.
We're at lap 50, now 51 of 75. Bob McCready continues to lead our race. There's Hetzler and the number 1 of Canadian Joe Plazik. Plazik driving the number 1, entered 1996 with 5 career wins here at Cuyahoga County Fairgrounds. He now has 10.
He's a real hot driver this year. He's won at all the racetracks that he's competed at. He's won at Brewerton. He's won at Ransomville. He's won at Canandaigua. As you mentioned, he's won here. Well, he hasn't won at, I guess he didn't win at Rolling Wheels. He has not won at Syracuse. So, but he's a very, very tough competitor. Great family operation. They go all the way from Caister Center, Ontario to race with us all weekend long here in Central New York.
Nice little battle for 9th place on the track right now. Side-by-side racing, dirt modified style, live on Sports Channel.
This shot here you see is 11, 12, 13, and 14, and there's where Steve Payne is running. Uncharacteristically, you see him racing against Ronnie Smoker, the guy who's been testing the walls here all night long. So Ronnie's losing a little bit of ground here, and but there's a guy that's not losing any ground. Danny Johnson. You can see the leader is in sight. Danny on the outside, Varon on the inside. Big block up the bottom, small block up on top. Danny can keep the revs all the way up and keep his momentum going, and that's what it takes with that small block car. Try not to spin the tires, just keep your momentum, keep it smooth, smooth, smooth. Danny not necessarily known as a smooth driver, but he generally gets the job done.
No, wasn't Steve Payne said before the race this would be a finesse race? Well, not too much about Danny Johnson is finesse.
Well, I'm not sure his mom and dad would like that comment, but he's a great racer. He's a oh, he may have no. I thought he had a problem, but he just went down to the bottom of the racetrack. So found the lane and he's made the pass. So Danny Johnson takes over position number 2. He'll try to run down McCready.
He has got a ways to go. Bob McCready now down the front straightaway. It's about a 10-car length lead. McCready running high on the racetrack, and Danny Johnson selecting his groove.
We notice that Bobby Varon is changing lanes. I'm not sure that's by design. There may be a tire soft on that number 18. We'll keep our eyes on that. We talked about Danny running the 358. We talked about the track shining a few minutes ago. We talked about it being smooth. So maybe, just maybe, the small block will work in the later stages here. Again, they don't have quite the horsepower, so they don't spin the tires as much as the big blocks. We'll see how Danny does as he tries to run down McCready. Again, we got a big block, small block show, and it doesn't appear to be any problem for Varon other than he's back in the number 3 spot.
Our race lineup tonight included 6 former track champions representing 11 titles. Number 1, Bob McCready, driving the number 9 machine. Our leader has 3 track championships, and Danny Johnson, who is currently running in 2nd place, has 2 track championships.
Here we see Jeff Hetzler in the 33. Joe Plosick testing him on the outside. Now, many of these drivers in this distance race are allowed to use. They are all allowed to use radios, and those that are highly financed have them. Varon does not have a radio. He's not a highly financed team. We didn't necessarily make that clear. So if he does have a problem, he cannot radio that problem to his crew. So we're just going to have to watch this thing. Great shot there. Joe Plosick on the outside. Again, it's Hetzler on the bottom, Plosick on the outside. That's the battle for number 6 spot. You can see just in front of them, Tompkins running in 5.
So we have any number of great duels on the race course as we flash back to the leaders just briefly to take a look and tell you that Bob McCready continues to have a 4-second advantage on Danny Johnson. But look at this battle right now for 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Canada Joe and his Maple Leaf Special, the Jack Doherty Enterprises Classic Auto Recycler Steakhouse Restaurant car. Kevin Enders builds the power for that automobile that's built by Troyer. And Plosick is a real family guy. When you talk about him racing all the time, he's got 5 kids. He's 34, 35 years old, 5 kids. His kids are involved in go-kart racing. He sponsors that, or not sponsors it, but helps them with that activity as well. He almost got in trouble right there, Doug.
Well, Hetzler bounced his way past Tompkins, and so Joe Plosick is running very, very well indeed on the racetrack.
He's picked up 2 spots in just the past couple laps as he moved by both Tompkins and Hetzler. So Canada Joe marches towards the front, but he's waited maybe too long. We're 64 laps into this thing with 11 laps to go.
Plosick has the advantage on Hetzler as we take a look at an overview of the Cayuga County Fair Speedway and go back to Joe Plosick and Jeff Hetzler.
We've got 10 laps to go in this contest, Doug, and it doesn't appear that Danny Johnson's got anything left for Bob McCready. He's not been able to shorten that advantage or disadvantage at all. So Bob McCready, if he can work his way through cleanly through the lap cars that he's working through right now, you see him here putting a move on the Cozy car. Cozy will go a lap down as McCready goes by on the outside. Now just 8 laps to go.
There's Bob McCready, and he's tracking down our CarQuest Auto Parts in-car camera, the number 74 of Frank Cozy. Lap traffic for Bob McCready. And we take a look at the racetrack, and look at this heavy lap traffic, heavy traffic coming up for Bob McCready. Let's see how well he handles it as he goes very, very high in 1 and 2.
He was right up to the berm. You could see a little bit of berm that had built up there. He was right up there testing it. But you talk about the traffic for McCready. Well, Danny's got to get through it as well. So we'll see how things work. He's now coming up on the black car. That's Kenny Brightbill. Here we see a shot of last week's winner, Scotty Prentice. Vinny's his dad. He has a flat tire and looks like he's pulling on this race, but he won his first race here last Sunday evening.
And of course, you know what this yellow flag means. That 4-second interval Bob McCready has on Danny Johnson is about to be totally wiped out, as we have just 6 laps down to 5 laps to go, and we are going to have ourselves quite a trophy dash to the checkered flag here in the Cayuga County Fair 75. As they work on Scott Prentice's car, we are going to take a brief break and be back for the thrilling conclusion. Rush Hour on Dirt will continue live on Sports Channel.
Rush Hour on Dirt.
We're back live on Sports Channel. This is Rush Hour from Weedsport, New York. Remember, the official supplier of Dirt Motorsports apparel is Bob Hilbert Sportswear. Let's go down to the pits now with Paul Small.
Hugh Naylor is the crew chief for Bob McCready's Kinney Drugstore's car number 9. 6 laps left to go, Hugh. Does Bob have enough tires to hold off Danny?
I think we got enough tires, but we don't know what it's going to do with this slick track and a restart. This is the slipperiest Weedsport's got, and this is the best we've gone in a while, so we're just hoping and holding on.
You ever heard of the proverbial rolling of the dice, Doug? It looks like that's what's going to happen for Barefoot Bob in the final 6 laps.
All right, well, it's going to be a shootout. There's the number 9 of Bob McCready, and right on his back bumper, the number 6 of the Dr. Danny Johnson. And we are going to have quite a shootout.
We certainly are. The premier drivers in the Dirt Motorsports organization running up in the front of this star-studded field. Bobby Varon runs in position number 3. Decker is in 4. Plazik is in 5. Hetzler is in 6. Tompkins is in 7. Pat Ward up to the number 8 spot now. Ronnie Smoker has slipped back to the number 9 spot. And Timmy Fuller rounds out the top 10.
11th is Doug Hoffman, and 12th is Todd Burley, who started outside row number 1. And we're waiting for the green flag from starter Dave Farney. There it is. We have 6 laps to go. Hang on, folks. Bob McCready storms down the front straightaway. Danny Johnson right on his back bumper in 2nd place.
Danny Johnson way down on the bottom. McCready was up on top. Now he's diving to the bottom of the racetrack on the back straightaway. There are no rear view mirrors in these cars, Doug, so they don't know who's behind them, but they can hear something. Of course, with a caution flag, they know they're right tight behind them.
Bob McCready by the starter stand. 5 laps to go. He continues to lead. It does not look like Danny Johnson is gaining on Bob McCready at this point. About a 4-car length lead.
In fact, maybe losing a little bit of ground, but the guy that is making a move is Decker. He's on the outside running in position 4. He is challenging Bobby Varon for the number 3 spot. Here comes Joe Plazik on the outside of Hetzler. Actually, that's Hetzler trying to make the pass on Plazik for 5. So Hetzler down on the bottom. Plazik is up on top. That's the battle for 5. And it looks like, well, we'll see here what that thing plays out.
And that is the duel that is most pressingly pending on the racetrack now, as McCready has lengthened his lead. There's Plazik trying to hang on. Hetzler down low. Hetzler, remember, spun earlier.
That's right. So he's come from the back of the pack, passing a lot of cars. Canada Joe, the winningest driver at this track this year, and they're having a great battle. But meanwhile, McCready has opened up about a 5-car length advantage as we've got 2 laps to go. Hetzler has made the pass. The driver out of Wallkill, the Smitty's Reclamation, car 33, makes the pass on Joe Plazik.
Bob McCready, of course, the winner at Rolling Wheels Raceway last week. Let's see if he makes a return engagement to victory lane as the white flag flies for the number 9 of Bob McCready. Danny Johnson 2nd, Bobby Varon 3rd.
Well, he's got a clear racetrack in front of him and nobody right tight behind him as Bob McCready shuffles out of turn 2 and heads down the back straightaway. Now into turn 3, into turn 4, down on the bottom. He's all alone.
And the checkered flag is out for Bob McCready, the winner of the Cayuga County Fair 75.
Great run for the master of going faster as he picks up the win. Very, very impressive run for Danny Johnson as he comes from the number 17 spot to finish in number 2 position. That was Bob McCready's 12th win of the 35 starts he's made already this year.
Now, of course, Bob enjoys unbelievable fan support despite winning so often. Maybe because of a low-dollar image, he tows his car to the track in an open trailer. Maybe it's just because he's flat a great, great guy, but he always wins the popularity contest, and he's most popular here this evening.
And he's taken a little change in his racing program here the past couple of weeks. Series to regroup. They're down to 1 car that's raceable and 1 engine. So they regrouped, and since that regrouping, he's won 3 of the 5 races that he's entered. So it obviously paid off as Bob McCready continues to march towards the front.
And he's always first to thank his crew and give proper credit. Let's go down to Paul Small.
Huey Naylor, the winning crew chief for the Kinney Drugs number 9 and Barefoot Bob McCready. If we were playing blackjack, I think that would have been a hand of 21, Huey.
Well, that last restart we didn't want. Danny was right there, and it got down to the restart. Sometimes you better be lucky than good. And tonight we were lucky. The draw was the key to this race, and we drew up front, And I think that really helped us win the race.
Yeah, but don't let Huey Naylor fool you. Being lucky is good, but being good is better.
Well, in this case, here's a man who is absolutely great. Bob McCready, the winner of our Cayuga County Fair 75. And he drove one heck of a race.
He certainly did. He won a barn burner of a program last Saturday night at Canandaigua, and by the time he got out of the car, he tried to get out of the car, he was absolutely physically exhausted. A great side-by-side duel with Alan Johnson for the win there. We mentioned this earlier. He's 45 years old, father of 3. His son Tim is now a racer. In fact, he's won, I think, 2 races this year. The son Timmy's just 22 years old, but he started his racing career in go-karts a number of years ago. But he's in a stock car for the first time this year. He's won 2 feature races already. A very, very promising.
There are our top 3 finishers, Bob McCready and Danny Johnson, then Bobby Varon in the number 18. And there's a very happy Bob McCready. And why not? Let's go down to victory lane now. Paul Small is with our race winner.
Barefoot Bob McCready last week on the tacky surface of rolling wheels, tonight on the slick at Weedsport. You got it all going on.
Well, you know, we just got such great sponsors. Kinney Drug Store, Syracuse Frame Service, FX Repair Car Companies. I mean, without them, we couldn't make these trips and run all over the state and the country here like we do. You know, it's just great. Without their help, though, we couldn't be there. So I have to thank them, you know, first and foremost. And I like to say hi to my wife and kids, and everybody at home couldn't make the show.
That last restart, were you nervous about Danny being behind you?
Well, you're just foolish if you're not nervous about Danny Johnson being behind you. Guy's a pro and doesn't make mistakes, you know. We just had a little bit better car tonight for him. The Troyer car was just fantastic.
How did you figure out the way this racetrack was going to go?
Well, it kept moving around all night, as you probably saw on the TV. It's the groove moves here all night, and we just keep trying it and checking the lap times and seeing how guys are coming from behind and all that. So, but the car was just fantastic. The Hutter engine was fantastic. Everything was great. Couldn't ask for a better night.
Congratulations on your second rush hour win, Bob.
Thank you. Thanks.
Barefoot Bob McCready winds up in victory lane for the 2nd week in a row. Doug?
And he waves that checkered flag. Congratulations to Barefoot Bob McCready, the winner of our Cayuga County Fair 75. We will be back with more of our coverage from Weedsport, New York after this timeout. This is Rush Hour on Dirt, live on Sports Channel.
Rush Hour on Dirt.
Thanks for all the statistical help in the booth to Tom Skabinski and Kevin Kovac. The winner of tonight's race, Barefoot Bob McCready. For Gary Montgomery, Paul Small, and the entire Rush Hour on Dirt crew, this is Doug Logan saying thank you for joining us and so long for now. We'll see you next Thursday night when we rejoin the Skull Racing Super Dirt Series at the big track, Can-Am Speedway in Lafargeville, New York. Executive producer of Rush Hour on Dirt is Glenn Donnelly. Rush Hour on Dirt is
For years, this battle has raged at a vast and dangerous speedway called what else? Can-Am. The weapon, 467 cubic inches, packed in cold steel. This street fight's for keeps, partner. It's the Bud at the Border, next on Sports Channel.
Dirt tracking, born in the cornfields and lower 40s of rural America. Dirt tracking, the cornerstone of racing. The early barnstormers put it all on the line to satisfy their thirst for speed. Now, their great-grandchildren carry the torch with the same spirit and thirst. 700 horsepower rips the earth. For 1 hour, nothing else matters. It'll raise the hair on the back of your neck. Rush Hour on Dirt.
We are just 10 miles south of the Canadian border, and we are live at the nasty track of the North, Can-Am Speedway in Lafargeville, New York.
as Lapco presents Bud at the Border. Hello once again, everybody. I'm Doug Logan. Welcome to Rush Hour on Dirt. Tonight we rejoin the Skull Racing Super Dirt Series for Big Block Modifieds. And joining me is the voice of Dirt Motorsports, Gary Montgomery. And Gary, why is Can-Am Speedway so nasty?
Well, Doug, it's a big, wide half-miler with an excellent clay racing surface. The clay racing surface produces fast lap times. In fact, the speeds here are second only to those of the Moody Mile at Syracuse. There's only a wall on the front straightaway that helps make the drivers brave and fast. But most important, the clay that provides excellent traction and rolls up the track to make a hero-making cushion to help roll the cars in. It's a fast place, fast crashes as well. That crashes help with a nasty title. The qualifying races were outstanding. I think the feature will be the best we've seen all summer long.
Well, nasty would not come close to talking about what we saw here 1 year ago. Let's take you back to July 15th, 1995, when this speedway was literally blown to bits. Weather experts concluded it was not a tornado, even though the destruction was much like that caused by a funnel cloud. Rather, the grandstands, the suites, the light poles, the fencing were destroyed by a microburst. The damage was complete. The devastation utterly shocking. And the man who saw it first, Can-Am Speedway track owner and promoter Bob Thurston. Bob, take us back to July 15th of last year when you drove in. What did you see and how did you feel?
Well, it was pretty devastating to us, Doug. We spent a lot of years trying to build this, and a matter of about 20 minutes it was gone. Stood on the straightaway and cried like a baby.
Bob, this is a family affair. You, your wife, your son, your daughter, your in-laws, your grandchildren all work here. How did you get back so fast?
Well, we had a lot of family support, and we had an awful lot of drivers and fans that pitched in on Sunday morning, and at 9 o'clock Sunday night we were cleaned up and ready to rebuild on Monday. But it was strictly through the fans and the driver contributions that put us back where we are.
Well, Bob, judging by what we see here tonight, Can-Am Speedway is back and bigger and better than ever.
Well, we think it is. We've got new lighting. We've got a lot of new things that we put in that we had planned on in a few years down the line, but we had the opportunity to build it the way it should have been built, and I think we're much stronger than what we were.
Can-Am is back, and we are here. Bob, heartiest congratulations.
We're ready. Thank you.
And we are about ready to go racing, as a matter of fact. Well, about 50% of the drivers who race here regularly on Saturday nights are Canadian. And since this is Bud at the Border, our Paul Small is down in the pits in the middle of a borderline feud.
We've got our own version of a border skirmish here at the Can-Am Speedway tonight, and two of the top drivers from the Canadian contingent at Can-Am happen to be brothers, Pat and Danny O'Brien. Pat, you've won this race here before. Do you think the American drivers take you for granted when they come up here?
Well, maybe a few years ago, but we've run good against them in the past up here the last few years, and we run with them a lot in the Skull Series too. So I think they watch what we do now.
Danny O'Brien won this race here last year, but Danny, we've seen more of you fighting with your brother on the racetrack than we have with anybody else. We're going to see a repeat performance tonight?
Well, if it is, I hope it's for first and second, and we'll give these guys a run, see what we can come up with.
Back in the good old US of A, the American contingent is led by Doug Hoffman and Jimmy Horton. Doug, you won the first Skull race that was held here at Can-Am back in 1988. How tough are these Canadian guys?
Well, at this racetrack, this is the toughest they are, especially the O'Brien brothers. They really run good here, and we got our work cut out for us tonight. We're starting 12th, so it's a real fast racetrack, and we got a long way to go. But I feel pretty good about the way the car's running tonight, so we're going to go for it.
Jimmy Horton, this is a fast, flat-out foot to the four-con speedway. Do you race the racetrack or the other drivers run here?
Racetrack, and get a good rhythm going, and just, hope the guy in front of you makes a mistake and go on to the next one, keep your rhythm going.
They're calling this race the Bud at the Border, and these Canadian and American drivers are certainly ready to rumble. Doug?
This is the 8th of our 18-race Skull Racing Super Dirt Series. Gary, let's take a look at the Skull point standing, starting with number 1, Doug Hoffman.
Top 10 in all 7 races run so far. Winner at Drummondville in Quebec, Mr. Dirt for 1991.
Brett Hearn is second.
And he has won at Brewerton, the first race of the series, and he is our most recent winner at Granby in Quebec.
Then it's Jimmy Horton, Billy Decker, Jeff Hetzler, and Alan Johnson, the top 6. Kenny Tremont is 7th, Dave Camara is 8th, Tim Fuller 9th, and Frank Cozy, Steve Payne, Danny Johnson. Notice no barefoot Bob McCready.
Bob McCready won the series opener at Brewerton. Then after some crashes and DNFs, he jepped off the trail for a while and regrouped. And during that regrouping, he's won 5 races. He'll start from 8th tonight.
All right, when we come back, the green flag will fly on the Bud at the Border, live on Sports Channel.
Rush Hour on Dirt is brought to you in part by CarQuest Auto Parts Stores, Racing Electronics Race Team Communications, Bob Hilbert Sportswear, Hoosier Racing Tires, Sunoco Race Fuels, and by Chevrolet, the cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. It's genuine Chevrolet. We are back live on Sports Channel for Bud at the Border, Can-Am International Speedway in Lafargeville, New York. And we've been taking a look at the sky. Temperature 75 degrees. Look at the humidity. Wind west 8 to 10 miles per hour. Forecast scattered showers, but that's about on lap 76 of our 75-lap race. Here's the race analysis. 75 laps. The cautions do count. Total purse $30,000. $6,500 goes to the winner.
Here's our track description. It's a half-mile dirt oval. The straightaways are 750 feet. The turns are banked 10 degrees. It's excellent play.
Paul Small is down in turn 4. How about track conditions tonight, Paul?
Doug, to paraphrase the old Bud slogan, it doesn't get any better. Nothing beats this racetrack here tonight. It's wet and it's tacky, but that presents a problem for the drivers. I talked to pole sitter Jeff Trombley earlier, and he said the cars are loose going into the corner and tight coming out of the corner. Basically, tonight you put your right foot to the floor, turn left, and hang on. Doug?
Here are the 31 drivers who will be hanging on. On the pole, the number 21J of Jeff Trombley, and outside 19, Billy Wilcox.
Second row starters are Frank Cozy out of Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, alongside his quick Rick Wilson, the Joyceville Jet. He's in car 24K.
Row 3 out of Phelps, New York, Alan Johnson, and the 33 of Jeff Hetzler.
Back in row 4 is the 00, veteran driver Buzzy Rudum out of Zephyr Hills, Florida. He's 55 years old, the oldest driver in the field, alongside Bob McCready from nearby Watertown, two-time winner of the last 3 races here on Rush Hour Live.
Row 5, 2 men used to taking home checker flags, the 19 of Tim Fuller and the 3 of Brett Hearn.
Row 6 starters are Jimmy Horton, the winner of our Rush Hour Live from the Fonda Speedway, alongside Doug Hoffman out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, the current point leader.
Row 7 comprised of Danny O'Brien and Danny Johnson.
Back in row 8, the young man who put on such a show at Fonda, Dave Camara out of Poultney, Vermont, the Poultney Slate car number 26, alongside Billy Decker in car number 91.
Row number 9, a Can-Am 358 modified regular, the 27 of Jim Narrow and the 63 of Steve Roberts.
Row 10 on the inside will be Guy Sheldon out of Nassau, New York. His car wears the number S. He's the 33-year-old driver, second year in the big blocks. Alongside is the Hurricane Steve Payne out of Waterloo.
Row 8, Marco Potvin and Pat Ward.
Patty O'Brien sits inside of row number 12 in car number 6, alongside is Mark Hitchcock out of Kingston, Ontario.
Row 13 comprised of the number 5 of Donnie Wetmore and the 60 of Bill Gill.
Row 14 inside 22G Gilly Teg out of Rochester. He won his first big block race earlier this summer at Canandaigua. Alongside is the Seabreeze Bandit Steve Glover. He's also from Rochester.
Then it's Kenny Tremont and Vic Coffey in row 15.
And in the back of the pack all by himself, second generation driver A.J. Romano out of Johnstown, New York.
And our CarQuest Auto Parts in-car camera.
Again being carried by Frank Cozy. The CarQuest camera tonight being ridden around in the Sheldon LeGee car number 10, the Computer Sense Troyer car. Actually car number 1.
And there is a look at Frank Cozy in the cockpit. Our Rush Hour on Dirt Camaro pace car by Chevrolet passes the starter stand as Chip Burdick waves the white flag. Just one more lap to go and we will be racing. Our heat winners, Jimmy Horton, Dave Camara, Alan Johnson, and Tim Fuller. And we had one consolation winner.
Marco Potvin was the winner of that race. He, of course, made a big story coming in second at Cornwall a few weeks ago.
And, of course, Marco owns a bar in Sorel, Quebec, and he has a big contingent watching tonight on Sports Channel as we are live from Can-Am Speedway. And Jeff Hetzler is falling to the back of the field. He has some mechanical problems. He was to start 6th. He'll be starting in the last row, so we will watch that story. Kenny Tremont also trying to solve some mechanical problems. Meanwhile, Jeff Trombley leads the field around turn 3 into turn 4. All eyes on starter Chip Burdick. The green flag is out, and we are underway at Can-Am Speedway, the Skull Racing Super Dirt Series, and Billy Wilcox got a big jump. He leads now going down the backstretch.
Unbelievable start for this young driver. This is the home track, and he obviously knew when they were going to fly the green flag. There's Cozy flying into the number 2 spot. Trombley falls back to 3, maybe 4. McCready is charged from the number 8 spot. He's already in position number 3. Bob Doug. Unbelievable.
So it's Billy Wilcox followed by Frank Cozy and then Bob McCready. And Bob McCready is trying to test a little bit of the outside there on the backstretch.
Here we see Alan Johnson trying to run down the Joyceville Jet. That will not work. And here's the shot of McCready going off into turn number 1, trying to run down the Computer Sense number 1 of Frank Cozy. Probably runs back in the 4 spot. This is the battle for 5 right here. The red car is Rick Wilson, the Joyceville Jet. He's out of Joyceville, Ontario. Alongside is Alan Johnson in the red and white number 14 Jet.
And another look at Bob McCready, a hometown favorite, obviously, in the number 9 machine. Always signing autographs. Local Kinney Drugs draws a huge crowd here at Can-Am.
Interestingly, he only races here twice a year, and it's only 15 miles from his home. But that's the way his program is. This is a small block track right here.
Again, we are watching the battle up front. Leading the 19 of Billy Wilcox, then the 1 of Frank Cozy, and the 9 of Bob McCready. McCready again tested the outside, but he can't do it down that long back straightaway.
Wilcox is showing me a whole lot here. He normally runs this racetrack over the 358. He's got a big block in his Fireside Tavern Troyer car tonight. And again, he was so quick on the start. He leads, but his lead is now shrunk to about 2 car lengths. Cozy now drifts back as they move down the back straightaway. Here we see a shot of Alan Johnson, who's now taken over the number 5 spot and falling back to. Here's our battle for 7 spot. I'm sorry, we're back a little further. Battle for 7. That's Rick Wilson, who goes way to the top of the racetrack, and here comes Alan Johnson charging on the bottom now.
And here comes the number 3 of Brett Hearn as well.
So Hearn is beginning to make his presence known as he's going to get a little TV time here as he tries to run down Wilson in the 24. Right behind them is Hoffman in car number 1, the Phil's Chevrolet car, the red car with the yellow trim. We got a lot of number 1s here tonight. We'll have to try to distinguish which one is which. But here we see Hearn on the inside, the red and white Budweiser car. Alongside is Rick Wilson in his own Joyceville Jet.
And then points leader Doug Hoffman in the red number 1. And Buzzy Rudeman fumbled just a bit down the back straightaway.
Kind of got rooted out of his line. Somebody making line room on the inside. It wasn't necessarily there, and Buzzy had to go to the top of the racetrack. Here you see Hoffman closing in on Hearn. Here's a good battle behind them. Danny O'Brien in the 17, the white car, working the outside. Now here's Hearn on the outside of Rick Wilson as they run off into turn number 3. Currently runs in position number 6 now as he's just passed another car. So Hearn comes to 6 as he moves around Rick Wilson.
All right, with an update on the field, let's go down to Paul Small. Paul?
Doug, Pat O'Brien is out of the race already. Pat, what happened?
We got some very heavy rear suspension damage last night at Brockville, and didn't have a lot of time to work on it today. And started vibrating pretty good at the start of the feature, so we pulled it in.
You know, these dirt drivers run a ton of races in the month of July. It sounds like it's caught up to the Pat O'Brien race car. Doug?
Out of Kingston, Ontario, 31 years of age, 3-time 358 Mr. Dirt, and the winner of this race in 90. Pat O'Brien out of the race.
He's a 4-time track champion at this track, including the last 2 years in a row. Here's the battle for the lead now as Cozy had just what the camera went to him. He had caught Wilcox, but now that advantage is about maybe 5-6 car lengths. But here you see Cozy closing in as they enter turn number 3. So Cozy gets into turns a little harder, and on the straightaways, Wilcox seems to have the horsepower advantage.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Billy Wilcox because he has a very strong combination with that machine.
He certainly does. Ron Header out of Chardon, Ohio has built the engine for him, the Troyer chassis, and that's the same setup that many of the drivers say. Well, not a whole lot of them anymore, actually, but McCready has that same setup, as does Doug Hoffman. So we'll see 3 Hutter Troyer cars in action here tonight. Right now we got a leader in the form of Billy Wilcox.
And we have a leader in traffic as lap traffic has already emerged for Billy Wilcox and our leaders here at Can-Am Speedway.
Well, Wilcox has just moved around the Vic Coffey car. He's now closing in on Steve Glover. Glover in the 121. Just at the bottom of the racetrack here, you can see the leaders up on the top side. And Doug, they have really caught the back of the pack in a hurry. I'm surprised how quickly they were able to get around. Here, contact. And Fuller made contact with Glover as they left turn number 2, and that costs him the lead as Cozy is able to slip by. Now McCready slides by as well. So Cozy leads. McCready is in second, and Wilcox has fallen back to run in position number 3.
And Wilcox, who has never won a big block race, falls back to number 3, and he got stung in traffic.
Certainly did, and that was a bit of a surprise as he came up quickly on the 121 of Glover.
Wilcox has gotten back around Bob McCready, so he is in second place now.
There you saw that, Bill. Here's the heavy traffic. Here's Wilcox now leading McCready down across the start-finish line.
So Billy Wilcox isn't finished yet, is he?
Not at all. Mark Hitchcock is in the yellow car number 348. Hitchcock out of Kingston, Ontario, started back in position, number 24. And there we see A.J. Romano in trouble with the Labatt's car number 16. Romano pulls to the top of the racetrack. He started in the back, you may remember, Doug, and obviously something is wrong with a young driver out of Johnstown, New York. He pulls car 16 to the pit area. We'll stay under green.
And a Skoal Series rookie pulls off the track. We are 17 laps in. 75 laps here at the Bud at the Border.
Frank Cozy, current race leader. There you see him. He was second here last year. He uses a bunch of cars. We talked about that last week. This is the Sheldon LeGee Computer Sense car. It's a Troyer modified, and he does a great job. And we'll be getting some CarQuest Auto Parts shots eventually, I think, here before too much longer. We've got yellow on the speedway. And it's Gilly Tegg that's slowed on the back straightaway with car number 22. Apparently a flat tire, maybe a broken suspension.
This comes on lap 19. Remember, the caution laps will count in this 75 lap race. So our leader continues to be Frank Cozy. Rush Hour will continue with more of the coverage of Bud at the Border from Can-Am Speedway live on Sports Channel.
Rush Hour on Dirt.
We are live at Bud at the Border, Can-Am International Speedway, Lafargeville, New York. Here is the top six. Frank Cozy leads, Bob McCready in second. Then it's Billy Wilcox, Jeff Trombley, Alan Johnson, and Brett Hearn, the top six after 21 laps.
Running back in 7 is Hoffman. Danny O'Brien is 8, Tim Fuller 9, and Danny Johnson rounds out the top 10 with 21 laps down.
Well, remember, everybody, the official supplier of Dirt Motorsports apparel is Bob Hilbert Sportswear. There's a number to call, area code 610-367-6186 for Bob Hilbert Sportswear.
White flag flies. Will go green next time around. And just as we had that commercial, Jeff Trombley, who was running 4th, has pitted with the Altier Audio car number 21. Now, you may remember that Trombley had that great run going at Fonda a few weeks ago, our first Rush Hour Live program. He was up to the number 2 spot, challenging for the lead when he had the engine brake, and he's got a problem here again tonight. He has made his way back to the speedway, so he'll fall into the rear, but he left from the number 4 spot.
Until the midway point of this race, we go side by side on the restart, and the leader has the choice as to where he wants to restart. And Frank Cozy says, I want the outside groove.
At the top of the show, we talked about the cushion. It's up on top, and that's where he's gone, and he has won the drag race. You see him blast out front. It's actually the leader that starts the race on restarts, and he got on the gas, and he leads McCready down the front straightaway.
And much of the rest of the field, as we do have a battle up front, and it's a good one. Frank Cozy and Bob McCready.
A good one indeed. As McCready dives to the bottom, he knows Cozy's going to run up on top. You see Cozy crank the car sideways. There's all kinds of traction. They'll bite. This is Sheldon LeGee's car. And this car won the race last year with Patty O'Brien in it. That's Alan Johnson in trouble. Alan Johnson slows on the bottom of the racetrack at turn number 1. So Alan Johnson has a problem with the Bill Trout Honey Oil Auto Parts, car number 14J. He's slow, and that brings out yet another yellow.
All right, so the yellow flag flies once again, and we are at the 1/3 mark of this race. 25 laps in, 50 to go. And we are under yellow at Can-Am, and there is Alan Johnson's car out of Phelps, New York, all-time winningest driver on the dirt circuit.
In fact, he won a race here just last year, a big race they have here for the big blocks on Memorial Day, a 33-lapper. So Alan won the last big block race they had at this racetrack. He won't win tonight.
And so our Camaro pace car by Chevrolet comes back out in front of the field. Doug Logan along with Gary Montgomery, and we are way up north, just about 10 miles south of the Canadian border in upstate New York. A reminder, all caution laps count till the end of the race.
and then those final 3 under green. Yeah, we're talking about up north. This is the first live telecast north of Syracuse since the Olympics here back in whatever year that was up in.
Was that 80?
I think in 80. That's right. So
it was a very good year.
Just a few miles from the great St. Lawrence River, and some beautiful scenery up there. We went up there earlier today, Doug.
Well, we see the number 9 of Bob McCready, a 2-time defending Skoal Series champion. What about his 96 effort? Earlier, Paul Small spoke with the master of going faster.
When you're the Mr. Dirt champion, you're always the center of attention, and that's been even more true for the defending Mr. Dirt champion twice over, Barefoot Bob McCready. Bob, you've missed the past 4 Skoal Super Dirt Series races. What's been happening?
Well, we just got behind a little bit in the spring because of I had some problems with pneumonia and this and that. Stayed out of the shop, couldn't get the cars really ready, and just got behind. I got upside down with the car, crashed the car a lot in the springtime, put us behind even further, and it's just one of those years where we got to the point where we started running 4th and 5th, and we might win one, but we might be 10th, you know, and that we had to kind of just stop and take a look around and see where we were at.
Foregoing the Skoal Racing Super Dirt Series, will that nullify your chances of being Mr. Dirt a 3rd time?
Well, that's what everybody seems to assume. Doesn't help, but if we can stay in the top 10, 8, 10 in points, and we can do that with good finishes in the Skoal races, we do at 10, and we need to really perform in the 200 lap races at the end of the year, but that's what this team's all about anyway. So that puts a little more pressure on, but that's what we like. So we just got to key up for the end of the year and do as best we can now and get our act together for the end.
Barefoot.
And Bob McCready, a 2-time defending Skoal Series champion and 2-time defending Mr. Dirt, is going for a 1st here tonight.
He's never won this race, and this is kind of important to him because his primary sponsor, Kinney Drug Stores, their headquarters are right here in nearby Watertown, New York. So he'd like to win in front of these hometown fans, friends, and sponsors. So he'd like to win tonight and get his program back in high gear. He says he's got to finish in the top 8 or so in points. He isn't even in the top 12 right now, so he's got to do some great racing here in the final stretch.
The number 9 started 8th, and he's up to 2nd already. He got a great start at the beginning of this race.
One of the things that hasn't come up, I don't think, in any of the discussion we've had about McCready, and that is he's down to 1 car, 1 motor. And part of the reason for that is at the beginning of the season, he gave his backup car, what was to have been his backup car, to his 22-year-old son, who's been racing and in fact has won twice this year. So although there is only 1 car for Bob, there are 2 cars in the garage.
We have an update on several pit stops. Let's go down to Paul Small.
It has been really busy down here in the pits tonight, Doug. First off, behind me, Alan Johnson in the Beltrop 14J out of the running with a broken torque arm on his race car. Danny Johnson in the Freightliner 6 came in to change a tire. He just went back out on the racetrack. Billy Decker in the Adam Ross 91 changed the right front tire. But the most unique problem of the evening so far was pole sitter Jeff Trombley. They had to remove a piece of sheet metal off the front of the car because it was collecting so much clay that the car was overheating. Doug?
And we are racing once again at Can-Am, and once again getting the jump is the leader, Frank Cozy. And Bob McCready is 2nd. He's trying to get a tire underneath. Brett Hearn has moved up to 3rd, and Doug Hoffman is 4th.
And Timmy Fuller not far behind him, rides in position number 5. This is quick, Doug. They are so quick. Here's McCready diving to the bottom at turn number 4. It won't work as Cozy will lead across the line.
We have had 8 cars already off the track, but the racing and the headline is right up front. And look at this battle between Cozy and McCready bobbled just a bit. Now he tries to regroup in turn 3.
He's running the bottom of the racetrack. That's not the preferred line, but Cozy's got the preferred line. The leader has his choice, and obviously McCready's going to have to go where the leader isn't right now. So the bottom is not the fast way around, but the master of going faster will give it everything he's got. He twists it sideways as he leaves turn number 2 and heads down the back straightaway. He'll back it in on the bottom, and it drifts high. He won't attempt to pass this time. You see the Cozy car tricycling just a little bit. Sheldon McGee has done a great job. They've got a great new motor program, and it's really paying off right now. Now McCready's up on top, and he's going to lose the number 2 spot. Here's Hearn, the Budweiser 3. Brett Hearn may make the pass. Will he or won't? They're down the back straightaway, and McCready's back in the number 2 spot.
Boy, and what a great shot that is of 2 of the premier dirt track modified champion drivers, Bob McCready and Brett Hearn. They don't get any better.
They certainly don't, but right now the better guy is Frank Cozy out of Wind Gap, Pennsylvania. He leads as these 2 guys try to gun him down here at Bud at the border.
Yes, it is. And it's a shootout, ladies and gentlemen.
It certainly is. There's some great racing. Unfortunately, it doesn't all show on the screen as they work now through turns 3 and 4. And here we see a shot of Jimmy Horton, who runs back in the number 5 spot, I believe it is. And there's the Wilcox car who's fallen back to 7. It's now, that's Steve Payne moving into your screen as well.
Invariably, in a distance race, we think of tires and tire wear.
I don't think that'll be a problem here tonight, Doug. This track is very, very soft, a whole lot of cushion. The problem could be, and there you saw an example of it, it won't be wearing out the tires, but the big cushion that's built up on top, if they hit it just right, they can tear the tire right off the wheel. Now, they've got bead locks to try to hold them on, but that won't necessarily get the job done for them. Here we see this is Fuller making a pass now of Danny O'Brien. That's the battle for 5th place. Tim Fuller has just moved around and taken over position number 5. We're back at the lead now. Here's Cozy leading. McCready, who's gone up on top, and there's a change. Oh, McCready goes way up on top as they race down the back straightaway. Now he'll dive to the bottom and try to set him up, and will it work? They're wheel to wheel, but the pass was not made. And Hearn has the best seat in the house. He's only running about 3 car lengths off this great battle for the lead.
Yes, and he knows that he can be patient. He can stay right up there and see what happens. We are 37 laps into this 75-lap event here at Can-Am. So we near the midway point, and there are the cross flags as they come by the starter stand and Chip Burdick. We are halfway through this event, and Cozy continues to lead. Frank Cozy, 2nd place. Bob McCready, 3rd is Brett Hearn. Then it's Doug Hoffman in 4th.
Tim Fuller runs at position number 5. Danny O'Brien is in 6. Jimmy Horton is in 7. Steve Payne is in 8. Wilcox has fallen all the way back to run in position number 9. And then Pat Ward rounds out the top 10.
And we have a car slowing in turn 2. That's the 27 of Jim Narrow.
Narrow's out of Calcium, New York. That's just a few miles down the road from here, a suburb of Watertown, a regular at this racetrack, and he was hoping for a great finish here tonight. He runs a small block car, but he had the home track advantage, but unfortunately something has broken in the fast loop, car 27.
And it finally comes to a stop at the end of the backstretch, and he'll need some help getting ushered into the pits.
The little hand signal that he gave was indicating that he needed a push. He won't need a hook, but he will need a push.
And Doug Hoffman has a flat right rear tire. He was running 4th. He'll go into the pits. Rush Hour continues live on Sports Channel. We are back, and we are live in upstate New York. And yes, folks, Dirt Modifieds do have pit stops. That flat right rear tire of Doug Hoffman, who's the Skoal Series points leader, flat right rear, had to go into the pits. That's Billy Taylor, and isn't he fast changing that tire? And Doug Hoffman is going to pull out and get right back into the fray.
He's going to get back into it, but he's going to be, instead of 4th, he's going to be at the back of the field.
There is your race leader, Frank Cozy, and since we are past the midway point of this race, we will go single file on the restart. 2nd is Bob McCready in the number 9. Then the number 3 of Brett Hearn, followed by the 19 of Tim Fuller.
Tim Fuller won his first ever big block race just last night at the Brockville Speedway. It was a 50-lapper up there. Last summer, at the beginning of the summer, he decided to leave his full-time job that he'd been at for a number of years, which was, interestingly enough, it was working in the zinc mines up near his home in Edwards, New York, 3,100 feet below the ground level. He decided he'd had enough of that and he'd become a full-time racer. He gets his first big block win last night.
Well, of course, he's a very busy rising dirt star. He said he's single at 28 years of age and without a girlfriend because no woman could put up with all of his racing. And actually, the zinc mines and the racing seem like a delightful combination to me.
I don't know how delightful that is. Picking up the remainder of the field here as we work, we're ready to go back to green. It'll be green on lap 44. Running in position number 5 is Danny O'Brien. 6 is Jimmy Horton. 7 is Steve Payne. Billy Wilcox, the early race leader, has fallen all the way back to run in position number 8. Pat Ward is up to 9. And David Camara, the Pulteney Flash, runs in position 10 with the Slate Express, car 26.
Eyes on the leader, Frank Cozy. And there's Bob McCready and Brett Hearn. And they are really itchy as we are about to go green, and the green flag flies once again from starter Chip Burdick down the front straightaway. The mighty Mod Squad led by Cozy and McCready and Hearn.
The battle is back for position number 5. Jimmy Horton works on the inside of Danny O'Brien, who goes around the outside of Fuller as they race down the back straightaway. You don't know what to watch here, Doug. There is Fuller down on the bottom. Danny O'Brien, they call him the pocket rocket. He's in the Pat's Radiator Goodwrench Service Plus car. He'll pick up the spot. Horton will try the inside lane as he'll pick up the position over Fuller as well.
Danny O'Brien, of course, defending champion of this race. Back to the front, there's Cozy and McCready, and McCready's going to try the outside groove.
Fast lane has been on the top all night long, but it didn't work for Bob that time as Cozy was able to slide right back by him, but you saw that he went to the top of the racetrack, and that's still the fast way around.
We have a car slowed on the race course. It was that of Pat Ward, but it looks like he's trying to get back up to speed. Nonetheless, we have another yellow flag here. This is coming on lap 46.
It's a flat right rear tire for Pat Ward, who was running in position number 9, the John Finch logging and trucking car. Pat Ward, a second-generation driver out of King Ferry, New York, and again, he'll be able to continue. They'll replace the tire hopefully without losing a lap, although they are displaying the white flag, so he's going to have to hustle, and he will lose a lap here. Tough break for Pat Ward. The monitor was showing Genoa, New York, but that's a suburb of King Ferry or something like that, Doug. They're all in the same general neighborhood.
And it looks like the left front is down as well for Pat Ward as he goes flying into the pits.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier that these tires are probably not wearing out, but rather they're tearing them off the rim. It's this cushion that's built up here, makes for some hero driving, but it'll also tear the tire right off the rim if they hit it wrong.
Getting itchy. These drivers are really packed together as the green flag once again waves here at Can-Am International Speedway. And look at that battle. McCready all over Cozy. Can he make the move down the backstretch? Cozy still has him. Brett Hearn is third. Now diving low, McCready. Low into turn 4. Down the front straightaway. The two cars touch, and Cozy continues to lead.
Cozy leads. The grandstand went absolutely wild when their hometown driver, McCready, almost made the pass. But it doesn't show on the screen, but the rest of the field is closing in on this great battle. There you see Hearn. Not far behind him is Danny O'Brien, and here comes Jimmy Horton, the driver out of New Jersey, as he picks up the number 5 spot.
A car slowed in turn 2. It's Buzzy Rudeman.
Tough break for the veteran driver out of Zephyr Hills, Florida, who comes north to race every summer. He's 55 years old. There you see Fuller making a pit stop as well. He has a flat tire, I believe, on the Parts Plus car.
So once again, we are looking at tires getting ripped off the rims.
Heavy cushion, heavy berm up on top, and it'll just tear them off. And it's a tough break for the guys that hit it wrong. But if you hit it just right, it can be dynamite. It'll hold you on the racetrack and let you keep around. Cozy doing such a great job tonight in Sheldon McGee's CarQuest Computer Sense car number 1.
We will get going next time around. Lap 51, 75 laps of this Bud at the border.
Give you a rundown here. We see the leader is Cozy. McCready runs in position number 2. Hearn is 3. Danny O'Brien doing a great job in 4. Horton is up to 5. Payne, now Steve Payne, runs in 6. David Camara is in position number 7. Back in 8 will be Danny Johnson after coming from the back of the pack. Running 9 is the Wilcox car, and rounding out the top 10, Doug Hoffman, after making that pit stop just a few minutes ago.
Sponsorship literally drives auto racing. Tim Fuller, sponsor Parts Plus, also drives a very unique community effort. Here's Paul Small.
You can enjoy a race sitting and watching it on television. You can enjoy it sitting in the grandstands. Or if you're with the Parts Plus group here at the Can-Am Speedway tonight, you're enjoying a special picnic here inside the pavilion at the racetrack, put together by John Edlin, who's the marketing manager for Parts Plus. John, you're also doing something special for charity this year with your modified driver, Tim Fuller. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we are. We got involved with Camp Good Days and Special Times, and for every point that Tim earns on the Mr. Dirt Series, we're going to contribute $1 to that charity.
It's great to see a modified team and a sponsor like Parts Plus working with charity. Speaking of charity, hey, you got one of those well done for me?
And there is a look at the pit crew working on the Parts Plus Tim Fuller entry.
Very
Timmy Fuller's crew working on the Parts Plus 19. It's apparently a suspension problem behind the right rear tire. There are 3 or 4 guys, as you can see, they've got wrenches out here on the ground. They are working desperately trying to get this problem with the rear end fixed so they can get the car, but now Timmy is shutting the car down, so it may be a terminal problem for the Parts Plus 19. Doug?
Well, the green flag is out once again, and so Fuller was going to be well back in the pack, losing at least 1 lap, maybe 2 to the field, and we're up front with Frank Cozy and Bob McCready.
McCready continues to look for racing room inside or outside, and Hearn, we talked about it earlier, having the best seat in the house. He'd like to be out front, but he knows they only pay on lap number 75, so for the moment he'll just settle in and watch this great battle, but he can't get too comfortable because Danny O'Brien, Jimmy Horton, and David Kamara are coming down the back straightaway into turn number 3. McCready is pulled alongside. He has the advantage. He does a slide job, goes to the top of the racetrack, and the yellow flag flies. McCready is our race leader, but we'll wait and see where they call the yellow when it actually came out. The car is stalled up on the top of turn 1, and that's bringing out this yellow. That's Rudiment's car that's gone off the track in turn number 1. Doesn't look like he hit anything or anybody, but apparently suspension problem or something, as Buzzy Rudiment, the 55-year-old veteran out of Zephyrhills, Florida, has his second problem here this evening.
Well, we'll see how they align this field. 55 of the 75 laps in. Bob McCready, this is the 6th caution. Bob McCready and Cozy and Hearn, the top 3. And what a slick pass by Bob McCready in turns 3 and 4.
Slick. And it was a slide job after that. He made the pass on the inside, then allowed the car to drift high. I'm sure Frank Cozy didn't think it was all that slick, but that's racing, and there was no contact made. Cozy probably backed off the gas for just a second, and that's all it took. Now he'll get his chance to try to run down the master of going faster.
A broken bolt in the radius rod for Tim Fuller. That put him out of the race, but there is Bob McCready, and he is being shown as the race leader.
Billy Decker is pulled alongside the pace car. He's preparing to make a pit stop here as we work lap number 56, about to complete 57, as the tow truck continues to administer to the Rudiment 00.
Billy Decker is getting set to hot-foot it into the pits, and let's go down to the pits now, and Paul Small.
Doug, this is probably one of the most unusual pit stops you're ever going to see in any kind of motorsports. Billy Decker is bringing the Adam Ross Cutstone car number 91 in, not because there's a problem with the race car, but because there's a problem with Billy's helmet. He's switching helmets right now. As you can see, he's taking the helmet off. He's got one of the air ventilation systems. The radio cord is coming unconnected. That's the mud door on the side of the car there with the Bud Olson logo on it that they are slapping shut. Billy is getting strapped back in. He's going to get his gloves back on and try to get back out there. This is one of the most unusual circumstances I think I've ever seen with a driver changing a helmet, Doug.
We may have a further explanation.
Well, possibly it's the tear-off situation. The mud that's torn up here is so tacky it gets stuck on the tear-offs, and apparently he ran out of tear-offs on the original helmet. He's gone to a backup helmet. That's one possible explanation. The other could be the radio system, which is in the helmet. I'm not sure what it was, but if I guessed, I would say it was going to be the tear-off situation. And maybe we ought to explain tear-offs. They're the little cellophane tear-offs. There you see Paul Small standing by with us story.
Yeah, well, there it is right there. You can see it. And there is the number 91 of Billy Decker rejoining the field. The top 6, Bob McCready with that great pass in turns 3 and 4 now leads Frank Cozy. Brett Hearn is 3rd. Then it's Danny O'Brien, Jimmy Horton, and Dave Kamara. And, well, let's take a look at the 17 of Danny O'Brien out of Kingston, Ontario, and our little bud at the border. He's the great Canadian hope right now.
He certainly is. A great second-generation driver. His father raced at this racetrack a few years ago. He and his brother started the race. They work in the family business, Pat's Radiator, up in Kingston, Ontario.
Accommodations provided to the... We are set to go green once again. Pace car is in. There it is, the green flag. We're racing once again at Can-Am International Speedway, and Bob McCready has just vaulted out to a strong 5-car length lead.
Well, we now know the situation is Hearn will now try to run. The situation was that McCready's car was faster. He just wasn't able to effect the pass. Once he got by Cozy, he's opened up a 10-car length advantage. Now the battle is for the number 2 spot. Hearn looks to the inside of Cozy as they work down the front straightaway.
Kamara bidding for 5th place as we watch 2 and 3. Cozy in the number 1 machine and the number 3 of Brett Hearn.
Camara has just made the pass of Jimmy Horton for the number 5 spot. We'll see if it'll hold. But here's the great race for the number 2 spot. Cozy in the white number 1. Hearn in the red and white Budweiser car. There's Danny O'Brien running in position number 4. So we've got the Canadian trying to run down with the Americans. And here is Hearn taking over position number 2.
Now Brett Hearn will set his sights on Bob McCready, who is the race leader. And we see we have 13 laps to go. Does he have time to catch him?
I don't know. He hasn't won this race since 1989, so he's got a whole lot of incentive to get up front. But we talked earlier about how McCready doesn't win here either, and he's closer to home. So we're going to see it here all settled in the next 13 laps or so.
Now McCready, who is bidding for his 3rd straight rush hour victory lane, has a little less than a quarter of a lap lead on Brett Hearn.
But that lead was helped by the fact that Cozy was running second and Hearn was faster. Now that Hearn has made the pass, he too has run away from Cozy. He owns about a 15-car length advantage over Cozy. But they're all stacked up behind Cozy with 3, 4, and 5. That's where the best racing is. Here you see McCready, the master of going faster. He's a father of 3, full-time racer, and he runs at the head of the pack. Here is Danny O'Brien working the inside of Cozy. Cozy has torn a tire off the 1. Cozy just tore the tire off as he went into turn number 1 up on the outside, and he'll lose a lot of ground here. Fortunately, it happened for him in the right spot to be able to make a quick stop where Sheldon McGee and the crew will put a tire on. He won't lose a lap, I don't suspect, but he won't win the race either.
He is trying to fly into the pits to get that taken care of.
Steve Payne has just lost some ground. He spun halfway around as he was trying to make up some ground, and but he kept going. He's trying to go back to his original spot. I'm not sure how that will work. We'll watch see how the officials sort that one out.
Now there's Frank Cozy in the pits. Let's go down to the pits now in Paul's Hall.
Frank Cozy in the CarQuest car number 1 is on pit road. He's got a flat tire on the car. The crew members are lifting up the back of the car. This is common practice so they can get the jack underneath. And I tell you, this tire is absolutely shredded. The Hoosier Racing tire that is coming off of Cozy's machine. The fresh right rear rubber is going on right now as Cozy gets ready to come back out. Tough break for Frank. A great run, running in first for much of this race. And if you take a look over here, we'll show you the right rear tire that came off the Frank Cozy car.
Well, this caution period certainly a real boost for the number 3 of Brett Hearn, who is now right on the back bumper of Bob McCready. Hearn, the only repeat winner this year in the Skoal Series in 7 events. Bob McCready, of course, won the first Skoal race at Brewerton.
There you see the top 6, McCready, Hearn, O'Brien, who was very quick. Now we got the Canadian running in 3rd, Horton back and 4, David Camara is 5 as we get set to go back to racing.
The Camaro pace car by Chevrolet continues out there.
Starter Chip Burdick has gone down to the racetrack. Apparently somebody out of line, and this could be the Payne situation that we were talking about earlier. We'll see if he picks up Steve Payne.
We have a great week of auto racing ahead in early August. Look at this. Lebanon Valley Speedway, the CarQuest Auto Parts World of Outlaws, Tuesday, August 6th. Sprint cars will go 30 laps, modified 30 laps, racing at 7:15. Then Busch Beer presents Mr. Dirt Track USA Thursday, August 8th. Modified 75 laps, $17,500 to win. Racing at 7:15. If you buy a reserved seat for the August 8th show by August 5th, you will be eligible to win one of 2 limo rides with Winston Cup star Dale Earnhardt. Green flag is out once again. Bob McCready accelerates. Hey, Brett Hearn has a good jump in turn 4. Let's see how they come by the start-finish line. It is McCready number 1. Brett Hearn trying the outside line. He's only a car length away from barefoot Bob McCready as they head down the backstretch.
A battle of 2 of the winningest drivers in dirt motorsports. McCready, the master of going faster, goes against the Jet. Here we got a battle of chassis. There's a Troyer car out front, a Teo car running second, a battle of engine builders. Tony File is the engine builder for Hearn, and it's Ron Hutter for McCready.
Just 6 laps to go. Down the back straightaway. There's Bob McCready. There's the interval to Brett Hearn. 1 and 2 on the racetrack here at Can-Am International Speedway. McCready bobbled a bit in turn 4, but he continues to hold the margin of about 3 or 4 car lengths.
Battle is tight behind them. It's Danny O'Brien running 3rd. Jimmy Horton working at the bottom of the racetrack. Horton on the bottom cannot make the passes. They race down the back straightaway. The separation out front remains about 6 or 7 car lengths with McCready leading. The battle on the racetrack is for 3. Here you see it. Horton on the bottom in the yellow and white and green number 87. And O'Brien up on top of the white and red car number 17, the Goodwrench Service Plus Pat's Radiator car. And there goes Horton on the inside. Danny was just a little too far on the outside. They're side by side down the back straightaway at over 100 miles an hour. Horton inside the short way around, not necessarily the fast way. Danny's up against the berm. Here's now Horton pulled a slide job. He changes lanes, and I think you can say that Horton has got position 3.
And he does. Jimmy Horton is in position number 3 as back to look at the leaders as we continue to watch this battle for 3 and 4. McCready continues to have a safe lead over Brett Hearn.
We've got 2 laps to go as McCready crosses the line. About 6 car lengths separate he and the second place runner Hearn, but Hearn doesn't appear to have enough for. The Master are going faster here as they've got a lap and a half to go.
There's the interval. Bob McCready low into turn 4, then out high down the front straightaway. He takes the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Can-Am.
The grandstand is ecstatic. They're standing, and there's no reason it's not close, but they're saluting their driver as he runs down the back straightaway. He's in turn number 3.
And now turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. The checkered flag is out. The winner of the butt at the border is Bob McCready. Brett Hearn finishes second. Third will be Jimmy Horton in the 87.
Danny O'Brien gets the number 4 spot. Then it's David Camara finishing 5. Back in 6 is Danny Johnson. 7, Doug Hoffman. 8, Steve Payne. 9 will be Jeff Trombley. And rounding out the top 10 unofficially, Cozy, who came from the back. Of course, we only had 16 cars running at the end, but I'd say Cozy unofficially finishing in position number 10, our early race leader.
And this huge crowd on hand for another spectacular Lapco event is absolutely going crazy as Bob McCready is just a terrific crowd favorite, and we understand he's liable to be here all night signing autographs. He's that kind of guy.
He certainly is, and as we've said a number of times now, this is just about 10 or 15 miles from his home and his shop. This is his 15th win this year. He leads all of the dirt drivers in the win column for total wins.
Well, once Bob McCready got by Frank Cozy, he was off to the races. 1 restart, Brett Hearn was on his bumper, but Bob dusted him off.
He certainly did, and you saw the front end of the car, the sheet metal, it's bent up from the heavy berm. That could have caused him a problem. Obviously it didn't, as he shuts it down in victory circle. The master of going faster. They used to call him Barefoot Bob. Sometimes they still do. There's a story that goes back a number of years ago. Early in his career, his car was so small that he couldn't get in it with his shoes on, so he raced in his bare feet one night, so the story goes.
Well, there's Bob McCready, who is a very, very happy man, undoing all the paraphernalia in the cockpit, and we'll have a chance to talk with the master as he has won again here on Rush Hour.
He loves television. He wins 3 out of 4 now.
All right, well, Paul Small is making his way down to victory lane to talk with Bob McCready, a very, very happy, victorious Bob McCready who held off Brett Hearn. And he's going to come out of the car and do a little bit of celebrating, salute his thousands and thousands of fans. And look at that, Bob McCready, a very happy winner. Let's go down now to victory lane and talk with Paul Small.
Barefoot Bob McCready, congratulations. You finally got the Lapco show here at Can-Am.
Man, we worked real hard to win one out here. We just can't. We come home every time, can't win at home, and the guys are disappointed, you know. And I can't thank my sponsors: Kinney Drug Stores, Syracuse Frame Service, FX Compare Car Companies. I know Charlie's home watching on TV, and my wife and kids are here. I know my guys, my cruise guys are all here, and it's just home. You know, I'm so happy you wouldn't believe it.
You had quite a battle with Frank Cozy there in the middle stages of the race as well.
Yeah, Frank's a class act. He's a tough guy. You know, Frank's a great racer. I've always loved racing him, and he had the lead. You know, we just had to get by him somehow. We just kept working and working, and finally got a good run on him and got by him. You know.
It's got to be great to win your hometown too.
It's one of the biggest reliefs in my career to come out here and win one finally.
All right, many people may not realize that Barefoot Bob McCready cut a lot of time in a 358 modified here at the Can-Am Speedway before he went big block racing. Doug?
And he is big time, given a key to the city of Watertown several years ago, a local celebrity, and he is an absolute champion. Rush Hour will continue from Can-Am Speedway. We are live on Sports Channel. Now with Paul Small. Paul, take it away.
Brett, you came on strong there at the end of the race. Did you have anything left for the master of going faster tonight?
I pulled out everything I had in the last couple of laps. Bob was really awesome. He got out front. I think if I had gotten out front first, I may have given him a run, but I was having a little trouble with visibility. And once we got that straightened around, it was a good run for the Budweiser team. It's just another piece in the puzzle towards the championship, and we're in good shape right now. We just got to keep knocking these races down, and we'll be in good shape. I want to just take a minute to thank Cavallero Produce, Auto Palace, and Pennzoil, along with Budweiser. Get the race team here, and I got to say hi to Sue, Brooke, and Tyler.
Brett Hearn finishes in second tonight, and the name of the game in winning the Skoal Series title, of course, is consistency. Doug?
And Brett Hearn is racking up the points. We'll wrap things up from Can-Am Speedway in Lafargeville as our coverage of Bud at the Border continues. We are live on Sports Channel. The huge crowd, the standing room only crowd, has converged down to get a look at Bob McCready and Brett Hearn, and why not? Bob McCready wins the race, Brett Hearn second, Jimmy Horton, Danny O'Brien, Dave Camara, and Danny Johnson, the top 6 unofficial finishers.
Doug Hoffman finishing in the number 7 spot. Steve Payne was 8, Jeff Cromley 9, Billy Gill 10, Billy Decker 11, and rounding out the top 12, Billy Wilcox, our early race leader. Frank Cozy, Vic Coffey, Mark Hitchcock, Mark O'Potvin, Buzzy Rudiman, and Timmy Fuller.
With his second place finish, Brett Hearn takes over the Skoal Series point lead by 1 over Doug Hoffman. Thanks for all the statistical help in the booth, Tom Skabinski and Kevin Kovac. Well, for Gary Montgomery and Paul Small and the entire Rush Hour on Dirt crew, this is Doug Logan saying thank you for joining us, and so long for now. We'll see you next Thursday night when we head to Orange County Fair Speedway in Middletown, New York for the CarQuest Auto Parts Skoal Racing Super Dirt Series 75 Lap Championship. Producer of Rush Hour on Dirt is Glenn Donnelly. Rush Hour on Dirt is a production of Dirt Motorsports and a presentation of